sliding wardrobes and much more. Don't miss your chance to transform your home at unbeatable prices. Book your appointment today at cherrymore.ie or call 07497 25822. Cherrymore, 28 years of adding quality and value to your home.
Luxury is not merely seen or heard or even touched. True luxury is experienced. It lies in the minute details that elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's quiet spoken, but leaves a lasting impression. You know it when you feel it. Luxury begins with L. Lexus. Experience amazing. Discover the all-electrified range at Lexus Letterkenny.
Thanks for your company, Greg. Before we hand over to news, Kathleen Grant, remember we were highlighted the quiz, right? And
yes,
she gave us the
Friday or something, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, right. So she says, leave the answer, and Greg.
What was the question?
Here's the question: what vegetable would a captain not want on a ship?
1 second now.
It's long.
It's
long. I'm giving you a clue.
Cucumber.
It's green.
Cucumber.
You wouldn't put them all in a pot of soup. It would be too.
It's still cucumber. It's my only answer.
Leek.
Oh, that's silly. That is not very
That's
funny.
good.
No,
I used to
for
leak
you and
yesterday
Chris
for
on
the
it.
first time in a long time. Made a pot of soup.
Well, at your age, you're probably leaking all over the place.
Behave yourself. To get you on with the news. Bye.
See you, Lee. Gooch back with you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. No, it's 9 o'clock now. He's back with you tomorrow morning at 6:30. It is 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update. Let's go over now to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. There are to be 2 full days of hearings today and tomorrow in the case of Danielle McLaughlin, the Buncrana woman who was murdered in Goa in 2017. Vigit Bhagat was arrested and charged shortly after Danielle's body was discovered, a month after her 28th birthday. However, his trial faced numerous delays and adjournments since then. It's hoped the case will come to a close in early February. It was due to close in September. However, a 4-month extension was granted to Bhagat's lawyers. Donegal has the second highest unemployment per capita rate in Ireland. 464 people per 10,000 in this county are without a job. It follows only Louth at 496. The analysis by the National Pension Helpline revealed that 8 counties had over 400 people on the live register per 10,000, while the average across the 26 counties was 320. A public inquiry is due to start today into proposals for a controversial gold mine outside Omagh. Canadian company Dalradian is behind the application for the Sperrin Mountains. It says it'll boost the economy, but local campaigners are worried about the impact on the area of outstanding natural beauty. Cleisha Conley reports.
The proposed underground mine would have a 20-year lifespan. RTE reports that Dalradian has applied to extract 3.5 million ounces of gold, 850,000 ounces of silver and 15,000 tonnes of copper. They say this would deliver at least 350 permanent jobs, boosting the wider economy. However, there have been many objections as the site is a designated area of outstanding natural beauty. The construction of a mine would have an impact visually and environmentally, with mention to the aquatic life in the area. There are concentrated concerns over what is known as the mine waste facility, which would cover around 28 hectares.
Ryanair has released a breakdown of costs in its claimed civil proceedings against a disruptive passenger last year. It's alleged the passenger's behaviour forced a flight from Dublin to Lanzarote on April 9th to be diverted to Porto, meaning 160 passengers had to stay overnight in the Portuguese city. The airline had this morning revealed the €15,000 in costs and fees it's claimed to have incurred as a result. Looking now to weather, cloudy and breezy today with outbreaks of rain and drizzle. That's with highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees in fresh to strong southwest winds. That's all for now from Highland Radio News, back again at 10 o'clock.
This is Dr. Colin Henry, Chief Clinical Officer for the HSE. Right now, flu is circulating widely in our communities. Flu can cause severe illness for many people. That's why a flu vaccine and COVID-19 vaccine is recommended for you if you're 60 or over, a healthcare worker, if you're pregnant or have a long-term health condition. It's not too late to get vaccinated to help protect you and the people around you. To check which vaccines are recommended for you, visit hse.ie or talk to a participating GP or pharmacist today. Thank you from the HSE.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning, and you're very welcome along to another week of the 9 to Noon Show. Yes, indeed, it is Monday, the 13th of January at 4 minutes past 9. Half the year's over, it feels, for many, but for some, I'm sure out there today feels like the first proper day of the year where people are going to work normally, schools are open normally, there's no stressing about the weather. It must feel for some like the first day sort of back, so to speak. But anyway, hopefully you'll be able to stay tuned with us here for the next 3 hours. We've got the usual mix of, serious stuff. We cover all the main news points. We've got features, hopefully, that will, be informative and fun. And all the other stuff as well. And we want you involved in the conversation as we go on. You can WhatsApp and text us on 08660 25000. Now, if you've never WhatsApp or text a radio show before, why not let today be the first day? We love all of your views, as diverse as they are. So please get in touch with us via text or WhatsApp. And you can also WhatsApp your voice notes as well. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25000. 07491 25000. Caroline producing the show, taking the calls as always, today assisted by Katie. If you prefer, comments at highlandradio.com, and that's good for you if you're listening to the podcast or repeat overnight, whip the phone out, although that's probably not going to help you go to sleep. But anyway, be that as it may, email comments at highlandradio.com. Right, let's go to see what's making news in the newspapers on the front and inside. The front of the Donegal News this morning, Donegal County Councillor Frank McBrearty has promised to be a political voice for the family and friends of Rebecca Brown on their journey for truth and justice following her tragic death. Ms Brown, 21, who was from the Gallia area of Derry City, died after she was struck by a Garda car on a night out in Buncrana in May 23. Now, almost 2 years on, her family say they have been kept in the dark about what happened on the night of her death. Last month, Miss Brown's family were informed by a representative of the Garda Ombudsman that the Director of Public Prosecutions in Dublin decided not to prosecute the officer responsible for her death. It prompted the setting up of the Justice for Rebecca Brown campaign, and a protest took place last month. The Derry News this morning, the number of PSNI officers in Derry, Strabane and Limavady with a dedicated domestic violence remit has been halved in an unpublished move, Derry News has learned. This is quite an important story, this one. There were previously 6 domestic violence officers across the area. This has now been reduced to 3. The area covered has also been expanded to include Omagh in County Tyrone. In addition, an ongoing pilot project involving the PSNI and the Public Prosecution Service, in which police are no longer required to submit all domestic abuse investigation files to the PPS, means alleged perpetrators may now be charged, or may now not be charged, with any offence. Violence towards women, domestic violence generally, be it towards men or women, is a big problem, and I think it's getting bigger. At least awareness of it's getting bigger, and reporting's getting bigger. Anytime then you see the number of dedicated officers being reduced is concerning, worrying. And speaking of violence towards people, the Irish Independent this morning, the main suspect in the murder of Cavan mother Annie Heinonen walked into a takeaway restaurant late on Saturday night and asked for Gardaí and an ambulance to be called. The owner described the moment the bleeding man came into the Big Bites fast food restaurant in Ballyconnell. He was bleeding and he said, "Will you please call to the Gardaí and ambulance? I'm injured." A major Garda operation soon swung into operation when it was discovered that Ms Heinonen, 55, a mother of 5, had been fatally stabbed at her nearby home. She was pronounced dead at the scene. One line of the investigation is that she was attacked from behind after a verbal altercation took place between her and the arrested man, who's in his 30s. Her husband, Henk Heinonen, who is in his 60s, was in another room at the property with which is located in the very rural area outside Ballyconnell in County Cavan. He's injured. Gardaí say they are not I have to be careful with how they described it, but they suggested that all 3 parties knew each other and they're not looking for anyone else, is kind of the language that was used, which perhaps points to what happened there. But it's another weekend, another day where a woman dies violently in this country. It's absolutely shocking. The Irish Times this morning, a draft curriculum for primary schools does not include any reference to gender identity, despite extensive misinformation in inverted commas to the contrary. This according to the state body responsible for developing the new syllabus. The blueprint, to be finalised shortly by the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, represents the biggest shake-up in primary education in 25 years. The well-being section of the draft curriculum, which aims to provide children with a balanced, inclusive, age and developmentally appropriate understanding of human development and sexuality, was the subject of a large volume of commentary during a recent public consultation. Many submissions focused on the potential inclusion of tuition around gender identity and LGBT terms and whether these topics were appropriate for primary school children. The NCCA consultation report notes, however, that gender identity was not mentioned in drafts of the primary curriculum. It said a diversity of opinion was shared on gender identity and LGBTI plus terminology that do not feature in the draft wellbeing curriculum. So, I mean, I'm sure some would say, I presume the majority of people would welcome this, that don't feel that we need to be discussing this type of stuff with primary school children. That's the feeling I get. But also, I'm sure those that were campaigning for this type of language to not be included might say, well, this is a success. It wasn't misinformation. Our campaigners ensured that it wasn't included. I presume that's the stance that they might take. It said participants advocating for the specific inclusion of LGBTI plus terminology in reference to gender identity within the specification stood in clear contrast to others whose view this as inappropriate content for primary level. The report notes many submissions on these issues tended to follow a template format indicative of the pre-formatted submissions which was received, and in this case were based on mis and or disinformation. So you can read between the lines there what they're saying, that there was a campaign of submissions to say we don't want this language in there. They say it was never in there, but I'm sure those who campaigned said it's not in there because we submitted our views, and on it goes. But anyway, that's the net result. The Irish Daily Mail this morning, Ireland's ageing population will see demand for help more than double in the next 3 years, an advocacy group has warned. Sage Advocacy says that demand for its services will soar and is asking that the new government support the necessary expansion of its work with the elderly. The number of people aged 65 years and over is estimated to have risen by more than 40% since 2013 and 2023. That's a huge increase over a relatively short period of time, isn't it? So in the 10 years between 2013 and 2023, the number of us aged over 65 has risen by 40%. It was at 569,000 and now stands at 806,000. It's expected to double again to 1.6 million by 2051, according to the most recent figures from the CSO. Sage expects growth of up to 40% in demand, and to resource this, its funding of 3.4 million last year must increase to 8.9 million by 2027, with staffing rising from 45 to 100. So Sage is the National Advocacy Service for Older People. I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with it, are you? We've talked to them here in the past on this show. Have they advocated on your behalf? Would you welcome them getting more money? I presume if they're dealing with a greater population, then the funds need to go up accordingly, don't they? The Irish Daily Star this morning, obesity medication. A lot of people out there call it fat jabs. That's what I've heard people reference it at. I mean, some people might find that offensive, but that's what people are calling it out and about in society, it seems. But obesity medication could help heavy drinkers cut down on booze as well as helping them lose weight. And the more research that seems to be done into these jabs, which have worked very well for some people, according to social media, the more benefits that seem to come from them. The discovery that in some cases alcohol intake was cut by 2/3 is being hailed as a major breakthrough for those who want to stop boozing. Research by the Medication Weight Loss Clinic in Dublin looked at changes in alcohol use when patients diagnosed with obesity were treated with medication, Iranglitude and another one, Semgalitude or Tide. Both drugs are taken by injection either daily or weekly and already proven highly effective for treating obesity and also type 2 diabetes. An average alcohol intake among those being treated was reduced from 12 to 4 units per week. So just interesting to note, if you have taken any of these medications? Did you find that it lessened your want or desire for alcohol? Let us know anonymously, of course. 086 60 25,000. Now, I always think it's really best to be absolutely honest. And someone messaged in on Friday and mentioned Sister Clare Crockett, who's from Derry. And I was not familiar with Sister Clare Crockett. As I say, I could sit here and pretend that I misread or whatever, but I genuinely wasn't. And we're going to be speaking about Sister Crockett either today or tomorrow on the show, because it seems she's a remarkable lady, and I'm genuinely looking forward to learning more of her. This is in the Irish Daily Mirror. An Irish nun is a step closer to sainthood following a special ceremony in Spain yesterday. Sister Clare Crockett, 33 from Derry, was killed in an earthquake in Ecuador in April 2016. The building where she had been teaching music collapsed. Now, Sister Clare from the Brandywell area of Derry was a larger-than-life character who'd been an actor before choosing her religious path. She turned down a chance to present on children's TV channel Nickelodeon to become a nun. Even that in itself is a remarkable story. She said friends were in disbelief when she declared her new religious path while holding a beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other. She ultimately took her holy orders with the servant sisters of the Home of the Mother Order. Her motto on life was all or nothing, and she was previously been associated with fertility miracles. The opening of the cause for the beatification of Sister Clare took place in the Cathedral of Alcalá del Henares in Madrid at 5:30 p.m. local time. The ceremony is the first step towards sainthood. Now, someone mentioned that this was being covered on YouTube and what have you, and I really genuinely had no knowledge as to what it's about. So, really fascinated to learn more about Sister Crockett, and I'm going to be speaking to her sister really very shortly, just to find out a little bit about her and the process that is now ongoing. That could take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It can take a while, or it can happen really quite quickly. But as I say, really fascinated. Finally, on a lighter note, because we talk about the cinema quite a lot on this show, and cinemas are enjoying a bumper time here in Ireland. Inside Out 2 was Ireland's top movie in 24 as the cinema industry recorded its highest box office returns in 5 years. Never write the cinemas off. Total cinema takings shot up to virtually 103 million euro last year, up 1.2% on 2023. Inside Out, the top movie, Despicable Me, number 2, Deadpool and Wolverine number 3, Wicked number 4, which came late enough in the year, Gladiator, which not everyone loved, surprisingly, it was the 5th most popular movie, Dune Part 2, It Ends With Us, Paddington in Peru, Beetlejuice, and Moana 2 make up the rest of the top 10. But the industry, ticket sales alone, 103 million last year. And then, of course, lots of cinemas are offering different experiences and food and other activities as well. So good to see they've taken in the biggest at the box office for 5 years, which I think is really quite impressive. Rightio, let us take a break. Back with more on the 9 till noon show very shortly.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny, specialising in women's health from cervical checks to specialist care. Start the year with confidence. Book now at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie.
Are you looking for a powerful, high-performance laptop? Think green and save big with Ben Sweeney Euronics. Discover refurbished Lenovo ThinkPads that look and feel like new with Windows 11 pre-installed and a rock-solid 3-year warranty for total peace of mind. Why pay full price when you can save up to 70% and do your part for the planet by choosing sustainable tech? Find yours today at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Visit Century Complex for a perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring Century Play. Hours of fun at our brand new indoor Crazy Golf. Lots of tasty options available in Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing comedies, actions and adventure movies. Get in touch on 074 9121 or visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Start gently brushing your baby's teeth when their first tooth appears. Use water and a small, soft toothbrush twice a day to keep their teeth and mouth healthy. Visit mychild.ie for advice on pregnancy, baby and toddler health.
The Nissan Juke is now available as a hybrid with an outrageously stylish exterior and a smooth, quiet drive. But that's not all. Buy a 251 Nissan Juke Hybrid and we'll replace it with a 261 Nissan Juke Hybrid for free. Don't miss out. This extraordinary offer is available for a very limited time. For details about this and all our 251 offers, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It's 9:20 on the button. Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Shauna Gill, sister of Sister Clare Crockett. Good morning to you, Shauna. Thank you so very much for your time.
Morning.
How does this all feel for you and as a family, all of this conversation around your sister? Is it surreal? Is it, I presume you're sort of incredibly excited and proud, but...
that's very surreal. Like, this is our Claire, our sister. Never imagined it would come to this, but it's been an amazing experience. Unbelievable.
Can you tell us a little bit about Sister Clare, as you know her, I suppose, before she followed the path that she did? What kind of a woman was she? What kind of a sister was she?
She was the boss. She was the oldest of the three of us, so she was the boss. Whatever she did, or whatever she said, we had to do. She was a great sister. We were very close, very dramatic. Nothing in Clare's life was just plain sailing. She was dramatic with everything in life. So when she went to the nun, it was like a shock for everybody.
And
friends, family.
Up until her sort of saying that this is what she wanted to do, was there any indication that she was going to follow a religious path? Because she was incredibly talented in other areas as well and had loads of opportunities put in her way, I read.
Never, ever, ever in a million years, honest to God. We went to Mass when we were younger, and that was it. No, she had loads of opportunities in life. But even when Claire was away for years, we always still thought, Claire will be home. She'll not stay out there. But she proved us wrong, and this is a reward for giving up her life and going to her calling.
Can you remember when she sort of announced that this was the path that she was to follow and what your reaction was to it?
She never really announced it. She kind of just said, I'm going to be a nun. We all laughed. And it wasn't, she didn't sit us all down. She just came and said, I'm going to be a nun. And we thought, she's a yak. I remember saying to my mammy, because she had already been there, I said, she's met somebody out there, or she wants to be one of these holiday reps and she'll come back. I said, she'll be back, to be worrying about it. But she never came back.
And did she ever explain as to what happened that made her want to become a nun, or did she feel she received a calling, or was it experiences that she had on the ground, or did she ever explain that to you?
She did, but not for a number of years after she went away. Like, we still for years and years thought that she would always come home, but she did come home with the pilgrimage one year, young girls from America and stuff. And she sat down and told us about her calling and how she did try to fight it, and it wasn't what she wanted. But when she finally gave in, she realised it was what she wanted.
Wow.
And what she wanted to do. But she had the calling, and then she came home for a year and loved her life with Claire, but it just wasn't meant to be. She was meant to be.
And could you sort of, in that year when she was home, did you sort of get a sense that she was being pulled in a particular direction?
Never, but she changed quite quickly when she did go away. Like, in a matter of weeks, 6 weeks or something, when Claire actually left, she came home. We had our granddad died, and she came home, and she was totally transformed from then.
Wow. And where was she? Where did she leave then? So when after she was back for a year and she decided she was heading away, where did she go and what did she do?
She went out to Spain to the home of the mother, and she lived out there as a candidate for becoming a nun. Just that's what they got, and then you become a novice. But when she became a nun, she had so many opportunities. She was away in Jacksonville. She was in, I don't know, many different parts of Spain. I don't know if you've watched the documentary, but when you watch the documentary, it was meant to be.
I'll tell you, I was just saying to the listeners before you came on, I wasn't aware of her at all, and that's to be completely honest. And I'm absolutely fascinated and really looking forward to the documentary, which is available on YouTube, I believe, if it's the same documentary we're talking of. And I will share it out to the listeners as well, because it seems to be such a remarkable story. So in what year, Shauna, did Sister Clare move away then? What year
2001.
was that? 2001. So she worked away for 15 years. Did you have much contact with her? Did she come back often?
No, she didn't come back often. We would have went and visited a few times, but we talked to her on the phone. It was hard. It was hard. It's just something you never imagine. It did take us a long time to get used to it, to be fair. I still don't think we're used to it, if I'm honest with you. But she did it, and she's getting rewarded. But when you watch that documentary, you'll see how her life changed. You'll see everything, every question you're asking me will be answered in the documentary.
Yeah, I'm really, as I say, I really look forward to watching it. Did you worry about her in those intervening years?
Oh God, there was always a worry about her because she was so far away. And like I did a testimony at the mass yesterday, and our family, me and my sister, used to tell people that she was kidnapped or she was in part of a cult, because we were like, she couldn't be this mad to be a nun.
Yeah.
And we were just like, no, she was kidnapped or she's out there in a cult, and she'll be back at some stage.
And that kind of really talks to how amazing this story is because that's a very normal reaction from a very normal family with a very special person within that family. Now, very sadly, Sister Clare Crockett lost her life in 2016. She was a music teacher, wasn't she? And she died in Ecuador during an earthquake. What can you tell me about that?
So us as a family, we actually had found out through Facebook that the earthquake had happened and Clare was missing. So we had contacted Spain straight away, and they had said that she was missing. She was teaching guitar lessons to the children, and she was downstairs in the stairwell. It fell falling through. And to be fair, we were kept in contact the whole day long. Clare was 24 hours missing before they had found her. So they did find her, and my mommy had said she wanted her home. There was nothing was to keep her there. So when they found her, it was an awful day. But you know what? As I've said in a number of reports today, the dairy people, there's nobody looking. The support we had that whole day waiting to find Clare. The house never emptied. I'll never forget it. But my mama finally got her home then. That's all my mama ever wanted, was to get her home, and she got her home then.
And was it you or her mommy? I heard it was actually on BBC yesterday, a quote whereby I think it was either of you that said that you haven't grieved a day, that she's talked about every single day. As I say, I hope that's not insensitive, but it was a clip that was played out last night, but I didn't catch who it was from.
Oh, it was myself that
was
said
it you?
that.
Right, okay. Talk to me about that.
You know, like, we also lost my mum and daddy, and we grieved for them, but I don't think we've ever grieved for Clare, because it was 2 weeks until we got Clare's body back, so people were there all the time. We never ever got to see Clare's body, so we've never had any closure. And Claire's talked about it every single day.
Mm.
You know, you look at or pictures on her, there's somebody lighting a candle on Facebook, or somebody praying to her or saying what helped her away. She's just always talked about, so it's just like she is living away, and she just never came home yet.
I'm watching some of the footage from the documentary as I'm speaking to you. We're playing it out on our social medias, and she comes across as such a normal, fun person. I'm not sure. That sounds like I'm speaking terribly of other nuns. That's not what I mean. But she just comes across as a dairy girl out there working with all of these young children. If that makes sense.
She was. Do you know what? When people talk about nuns, they imagine the nuns from years ago that taught us. They were older and there was no crack with them. But Claire was just full of life and energy, and even as a teenager, she was the same. She loved life. She loved a bit of crack, and out there she was. They said yesterday that she was very. I can't mind the word, but she didn't take any nonsense anyway. But everybody loved her. Everybody loved her, and she was just an amazing teacher, an amazing nun, and an amazing friend.
So, fast forward now to 2025, the very early stages of 2025, 9 years after her passing. Like, what were you told about her starting this pathway to becoming a saint and the reasons why, Shauna? Have you known about for this some time, or did this come out of the blue, or what happens in this situation?
No, we have known about it for a while. So, after the sisters had made the documentary, people have been talking about Claire since her death, and you know how they have been praying to her and how she's granted favours or how she's helped them. And so there was a call for her to be made a saint. So you're supposed to be made a saint in where you die, in that bishop in the country where you die. So they've had the reason you have to wait 5 years till the person dies.
Mm-hmm.
To actually open the cause, but we've had to ask permission, not us, the sisters had to ask permission from the bishop in Ecuador to release it to the bishop in Spain so that he could open it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Claire's sisters, I know some of them live in Ecuador, but the main house is here in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
So all the information's here, just made things easier. And then it took 3 years to get to this stage because of a change in the bishop. So they put it forward, and we've known that it was coming, but we got the official word on the 31st of October.
And have miracles been attributed to Sister Clare?
Oh yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Hundreds. There was a girl doing a testimony yesterday at the ceremony, and she said how she had a child. It was her sixth child, and it was so many months, but it was a meeting milestone. It was a walking. He couldn't even clap his hands. He could do very, very little. And he was diagnosed with some illness, and they started praying for Claire's intercession. And it took his first steps, and his first word was Claire. Because she took him to Mass all the time, and they prayed to Claire, and they ran Mass, and there was a picture of Claire, and he got up, they walked it, and his first word was Claire.
Wow.
And that wee boy was 3, and he ran to his mama yesterday in the chapel. A lot of fertility stories. But a lot of young people drawn to Sister Claire as well.
Yeah, I can see that. She even just watching silent, moving pictures of her, there's just an energy or something about her. And looking through the comments underneath the video, and that's what an awful lot of people are saying, that she's an inspiration and what have you. And just on the miracles, when did you become aware of them? Had you known those over the last 9 years, or even before we lost Sister Clare, or has that sort of become more known to you and your family since October?
Oh no, it's from her death. This has been going on for nearly about 8 years. It's been non-stop. Like, people love to tell you their stories and send messages. They find you on Facebook and send you messages through Messenger, and you know, she's really loved, and she's helped a lot of people and brought a lot of people back to her faith.
Amazing. And what's next now, Shauna? Because this can be a process that can take any amount of time. Excuse me, any amount of time. So what happens next?
So now the cause is open and Clare's a servant to God. So the investigation and the Clare's life starts now. There'll be a lot of interviews with people, to make sure that everybody's on the same page and that this is all real about Clare and the sisters aren't making it up. So there's a lot of investigation now from the bishops and the committee that was sworn in yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of work to do now. So you know what, it could take 5 years, it could take 10 years, it could take 100 years, but I have no doubt it'll happen in our lifetime.
And just finally, what has this meant to you personally or you as a family, Shauna? Because this is all, like it was initially, obviously, your sister, Clare, as she was then, who took this decision and went. But now this has turned into something completely different now. Obviously, her very sad passing in 2016, but everything that's happened since, you're just a normal family, like as most of us are. But what does this meant? What does this mean to you and your life or your life going forward? Has it changed you in any way? Or
no, from honest, it hasn't changed me. It's still wild surreal. If I'm totally honest with you, sitting in that chapel yesterday and it was packed out. They were bringing more seats in. There was people queuing to get in, and I was going, they're all here for our Clare.
Wow.
Everybody knows Sister Clare, and I'm here for Clare, my sister, and it's just a wee bit surreal. Like, there's over 100 people came here with us for the ceremony from Derry, and the cinema in Derry was packed out in 2 screens yesterday. So that's just a wee bit of the support that we have and how much she's loved, you know what I mean?
Brilliant. Okay, listen, we'll link, I'm sure people can find it themselves. It's very easy to find, but we'll link the documentary because it's an awful lot of people in the comments have been moved by it. 2.4 million kind of organic views as well, which is really quite remarkable. And that's only going to go up and up and up. And that's only one posting of the video on one platform. Shauna, listen, safe home. Thanks so much for many people listening, introducing your sister Clare, your sister Clare Crockett to us. I'm sure many people are familiar with her and will be delighted to hear of you speaking to us from. You're still out there, aren't you, at the moment? You are?
We're still here. We're not going home until tonight.
Right, okay. Well, listen, safe journey home. Thank you so very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care of yourself. Bye-bye. That's Shauna Gill, sister of Sister Clare Crockett. What a remarkable story.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Start the new year with peace of mind. Book your free cervical check today at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070.
Celebrating 50 years, McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles in Buncrana continues to be Donegal's go-to destination for stunning bathroom makeovers. With a vast selection of premium tiles and bathroom products, our showroom is your ultimate one-stop shop for crafting the perfect space. We've earned our reputation through expert advice, unbeatable prices and a dedication to customer satisfaction. Visit our showroom in Cockhill and Buncrana and see why we've been Donegal's top choice for 50 years and counting. Call us at 07493 63050.
Are you thinking of a new car in January? At iMotors, we have certain Nissan models available for immediate delivery. E-Power, petrol, hybrid are all still available. Check out imotors.ie.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Are you thinking of building, extending, improving or simply redecorating your home? Then don't miss the Donegal New Build and Rebuild 3-day event at the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny on the 1st, 2nd and 3rd of February with free admission. Visitors can discover new ideas, inspiration and expert advice from top local exhibitors. Proudly sponsored by Efficient Renewables for all your renewable needs. Visit our brand new live working showroom on Main Street, Newton Cunningham for a full display of solar and heat pumps. There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,200 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
If you need an eye test, look no further than Louis Walsh Opticians. Letterkenny's longest established opticians are delighted to welcome patients new and old to their state-of-the-art practice in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Their latest technology includes a 3D OCT retinal camera, which assesses the health of your eyes in minutes. Private, medical card and PRSI patients welcome. Call 91 21000 to arrange your eye test.
Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny. Your vision, our focus.
I'll just note a post from Jackie Cairn, Funeral Directors and Memorials in the south of the county. Very sadly, a Lahey resident, PJ Rooney, who'd be very well known, of course, not just in the local community, but in the much broader community. He very sadly passed away, and his house and his wake is located close to St. Eunan's National School there in Lahey. And of course, given his popularity, an awful lot of people were arriving at the house to pay their respects. So there was quite a few cones out around the property, around the school, to manage the traffic and warn traffic on a very busy stretch of road that a wake was taking place. So there was quite a lot of slow-moving, emerging traffic. And I noted that, and I saw them myself, that they had blue LED flare lights, which are the property of the Guards, and the Gardaí would have given them to Jackie Cairn Funeral Directors, I'm sure, to notify traffic of the danger. But someone, astonishingly, I find this incredibly hard to believe, but I believe it nonetheless, someone has lifted them. So just reading from Jackie Cairn Funeral Directors' Facebook here. Blue LED flare light, property of the Guards, lifted from the N15 at Lahey. These lights were placed to alert road users to slow down on approach to a wake house. Neither intelligent nor funny, and wholly disrespectful on an occasion such as this. Please return. I can't understand what might be going through anyone's mind for A, to put motorists in risk by removing what might notify them of dangerous traffic, but B, given the fact that they've been placed there because of a very sad passing. Absolutely remarkable what is going through people's heads. Hopefully they are left back as soon as is possible. Laura McFadden is the Public Relations Officer with Donegal Mountain Rescue and joins us now. Hi Laura, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Good, thank you. We wanted to speak to you last week, or in relation to an incident last week, and it's a note you put out, and I know it's been broadly covered, but every show and every outlet reaches different people. So on Thursday night, the Donegal Mountain Rescue Team were tasked following reports of lights on Errigal Mountain. Now, everyone knows what the weather and the conditions were like on Thursday and all of last week, so that in and of itself would set my alarm bells ringing. But talk to me through the call out and the operation.
So, yeah, like you say, late on Thursday evening around 11 o'clock, we were notified by the Guards that a member of the public had become concerned because they had seen lights on Errigal. Now, the information that we had is that the lights were descending on Errigal and then they became stationary for an extended period of time. And it was that then that caused concern to the member of the public and caused them then to notify the Guards.
And obviously, even the call out in this regard, I mean, the teams themselves actually getting to the mountain, I presume, would have been a complication, given the conditions of the roads and what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been very difficult. Our team are spread across the country, and depending on availability will depend on who is able to attend the call out. So the team were put on standby, so thankfully nobody had to brave the roads that evening. But yeah, it would have been tricky for many people to get over there, especially the roads at the back of Errigal, which were quite treacherous at the time, given the temperatures. Yeah,
eventually the team was stood down. After what information emerged, this was shortly after midnight, how did you know then that the alert had been stood down?
Well, we, between the call-out coordinators and our team leader working with the Gardaí, we were able to establish that the people who were on Errigal were not in difficulty and they were not in danger and they were making their way down the mountain. So we were all stood down then when we realised that we weren't actually needed to assist them.
Right, okay. I suppose in the first instance, from your experience, from DMR's experience, how dangerous would it have been to undertake a climb at night in the conditions of Errigal Mountain?
It's quite rare for us to realise that people would be on the hill and on the mountain in those conditions, especially in the dark. we are aware, however, that there are many people in the public who have braved these conditions and actually travelled to different parts of Europe to hike and to climb in these conditions. So that was the case in this instance, where the people were very well prepared and they had a lot of experience hiking in this weather. And we are aware that there are people that have the experience and the ability to do that as well.
Right. So,
but
the mountain in daylight and calm conditions for some is simply not a great enough challenge. It has to be bitterly cold, frozen, and at night time, and it's some sort of a challenge to themselves then. So this was purposeful.
As far as we are aware, yes. Like I say, people can travel to hike and climb in these sorts of conditions at different places. So when we get these conditions locally, it's quite enjoyable for people to do that, and we are aware that people are very well equipped and very experienced to undergo hikes in these conditions.
Yeah, of course.
So, but it is quite unusual for members of the public, we understand, in this area, to see lights on Errigal, especially when the temperatures had been so low and there were weather warnings out. So it was understandable that a member of the public became concerned.
Yeah, they did the right thing. That's what we're told to make the call. What was the gap here? I suppose if these people, maybe they're adrenaline junkies, I don't know, is the particular problem here maybe that they didn't notify people when they were undertaking this climb and when they expected to be back? Is that the plot hole here really then?
Essentially, you're absolutely right. The member of the public that did get in touch with us did the right thing, and the members of the public are fantastic. They, really stay in touch with the emergency services, and they will get in touch with us if they do become concerned, especially when you're dealing with mountains like Errigal and Muckish. But like I said before, it would be quite unusual to see people out hiking in these conditions. So there's no protocol as such for this sort of thing, but because it is quite unusual and members of the public can become concerned quite quickly, just letting us know if you're heading out for nighttime hikes or if you're heading out in particularly bad weather like this, because it is so unusual for people to do so. Letting us know can help us to appease any worry from the member of the public should we get a call in about lights on Errigal, for example, or maybe a car that has been in the car park overnight. We have received messages in the past from the public of people heading out for nighttime hikes, and they have let us know where they're going, when they intend to go and when they intend to be back, and where their car is parked. And it just means that if somebody spots that car, if somebody spots those lights on Errigal, we are able to reassure that member of public that yes, we are aware that there are people on the hill. We are aware that that car is there and they are completely in control, and that's all absolutely fine. There's nothing to be worried about. Yeah. So like I say, there's no protocol as such, but just a wee message like that can, help us work with whoever is heading on the mountain. And then we are aware should a member of the public become concerned.
Yeah, for sure. But I suppose we all should face the reality as well that we as individuals can make certain decisions, but as hard as emergency services and the DMRT might try to help people, there are scenarios, if you choose to really push the boundaries, there are scenarios that a rescue or evac could be near impossible or certainly drastically delayed if you needed the likes of DMRT or the helicopter or what have you.
Yeah, that is correct. For example, the Thursday night, if God forbid something would have happened, it would have taken us a long time to rendezvous even at the car park, given the conditions in the roads. Never mind then travel up the mountain because of the hazardous conditions. It could have taken us a long time, and there's no guarantee that Rescue 118 would be able to assist us as well. So all these things should be considered as well by everybody. And like you say, even in the perfect of conditions in the middle of the summer, things can go wrong. So unfortunately, we can't predict anything. We definitely do not judge anybody that we have to assist or that may need our help, or anybody who heads out on our mountains.
No, that's my job.
You can be
I'll do that, Laura. You can just relax. You save people, I'll judge them. No, but in seriousness, you talked about a protocol, right? So, say for instance, if I were heading out to sea, I can ring Malin Head, or there's a mechanism, I think there might be even an app or whatever it is, but I should know that. I do know it, I just can't find the information at the moment, that I can sort of notify I'm departing, this is where I'm going, or this is when I expect to be back. The DMRT are a voluntary team, right? But they are an arm of the emergency services, so I don't think it's up to you guys to figure out a protocol. But do you think that maybe there should be one in place that maybe is aligned with weather warnings, or that requires, or at least strongly encourages, people being notified formally? If they're undertaking a particularly hazardous, as I say, I don't think it's the job of the DMRTs of enough to do the way things are at. But would you like to see something put in place similar to if you're heading to sea and you can notify Malin Head?
A protocol could potentially sort out any confusion that any member of the public may have with regards to what should be done or what could be done in the situations where they're heading out in dangerous weather or overnight. So that might be a good idea on that front. We don't ask everybody to get in touch with us anytime they go on the mountain, of course. That would cause a flood of messages and would unnecessary information that we would have. Also, we are not ones to police the mountain either. It is not our responsibility when people step foot on the mountain. But it's more on those extreme cases, for example, overnight or in bad weather, where exactly like happened on Thursday, if a member of the public does see lights, naturally they would become concerned. And if we just had that information in those extreme cases beforehand, then it wouldn't result in a full team call out. And it's just a matter of courtesy at this stage. With regards to a protocol, I'm not sure how that would work or whose responsibility that might be, but and it might, like I say, help any confusion that the public have of what is necessary and what should be done in that situation.
All
but
right. Well, even
for now,
putting a note on the car or something, perhaps something common sense stuff.
Well, we've had that before as well,
Okay. So,
which can be great as well.
DMRT, obviously, a group of individuals, volunteers. You have to sort out your own gear, clean it all down after a call out, do all the training and all that type of stuff with little or no. You don't get funding, do you? State funding? Well, there's not much of it anyway, is there?
We get a small amount of grant funding that we can apply for. We are predominantly reliant on fundraising from the public.
So if people want to support the work that you're doing, i.e., keeping equipment up to scratch, vehicles and all that type of stuff, is there a way people can support the work of the DMRT?
Absolutely. We have an I Donate page. If you Google I Donate Donegal Mountain Rescue, you can donate directly to there. We also have people who might hold a fundraiser, whether do some manner of sport or a pub quiz or anything like that, and that's a great way to raise money as well. So if anybody feels like they might like to hold an event and fundraise for us as well, that's also fantastic. So, but if the easiest way is through the I Donate page.
Cheers, Laura. Take care of yourself. Best wishes to everyone. Laura McFadden, PRO of Donegal Mountain Rescue. A caller says, I saw people on the top of Errigal bragging about being on top of Errigal in an orange weather warning. Just because they're seasonal climbers doesn't mean everyone is, and these photos encourage others to do it just for the photos. And another, we were down past Errigal Saturday. The mountain was pure white and the car park full, even cars parked on the side of the road. It's absolutely bonkers that people would even think of doing this. Time Mountain Rescue start charging these numpties. If they want to put their lives at risk, so be it, but don't expect others to go out and rescue them. DMRT, as I say, they don't police the mountain, they don't judge people, they're just there in case any of us ever need them. Great use of the word numpties, though, I must say, I haven't heard that one in a while. Right, back with the weather.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Are you struggling with back pain? Greenview Medical Centre offers access to neurosurgeon services. Book now at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070.
When it's time for confirmation, it's time for a trip to Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Choose from a great selection of top label, casual and formal wear. Suits with matching shirts and ties, blazers and jackets, also with shirts to match. Denims, chinos and footwear from big names like Diesel, Cavani and Tommy Bow. Stand out on the big day at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny and at watsonmenswear.com.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
How does one define grand? Acceptable. Grand. Not too much trouble. That's grand. Say no more. Grand so. It's time to redefine grand and change perceptions. The new Opel Grandland. It's grand. New Opel Grandland. Available in hybrid and electric. Go grand. Test drive the new Opel Grandland at Heron Auto Opel. See heronopel.ie for details.
You're useless. Worthless. I look after the money because you're a dope. You'd be nothing without me. Nobody cares about you. That's what abusers tell us. It's all lies. You deserve to be safe, and when you ask for help, you will be heard.
If you're living with domestic or sexual violence, support is always here. Visit alwayshere.ie or call an Garda Síochána.
A message from Cuan, the Domestic, Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Agency.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. It's time to save big with the McElhinney's winter sale. Enjoy up to 50% off fashion, homeware, accessories and more in store and online at mcelhinneys.com today.
Well, what a difference a week makes. No ice, no snow, but cloudy and breezy today with outbreaks of rain and drizzle. Temperatures a more normal 10 to 12 degrees and fresh to strong southwest winds. There'll be mist and fog over hills and on some windward coasts. We were talking earlier on about Sister Clare Crockett, and a lady who I won't mention sent me a message on Facebook. Greg, just listening to your show with Sister Clare's sister, when your darling boy Hudson was born and was sick, I prayed to her to look after Hudson and you and Aisling. And it goes to show, doesn't it? I wasn't really aware of Sister Crockett, but who's to say, thankfully, those prayers worked. And now we have a lovely, healthy boy about to celebrate his 4th birthday. So maybe in some way I am connected to Sister Crockett, even though I didn't have any knowledge of her. Dolores on Facebook. Greg, I followed Sister Clare. I got her first photo of a nun to pray for her. Good morning to Pedro, who's listening to us or watching us on X in America. We switched to Facebook, or she switched to Facebook now. Kathy's with us. Good morning, Mike. How are you getting on? Dolores, again, you were one of the first to say good morning. Don't forget, you can watch the show every day on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. If you're at home, you can watch on your smart TV or your Fire Stick, and we're on Facebook and the X platform as well. An emailer says, I currently work in one of the units in Glenview Business Park here at the Mountain Top. I've read about the Donegal Education Support Group Centre making a move from Donegal Town to Letterkenny. My concern is that as it stands, parking is currently inadequate. What's it going to look like in a few weeks? This is unfair for the current occupants. Please share with your listeners. Now, I'm not sure of the ins and outs of that, but it's certainly something we can look into, or if those are concerns that you share, get in touch. Right, we're going to take a break for the news and obituary notices, and we've got so much more to come on the 9 till noon show in the next couple of hours.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Protect yourself this winter. Get your flu vaccine today. Visit greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070.
January is a big deal in the Virgin Media Playhouse. See how great value plays out for you. Get €100 off your bill. Our Wi-Fi guarantee included for free with our fastest broadband speeds and no activation fee. That's uninterrupted Wi-Fi guaranteed everywhere in your home. Switch today at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. T's and C's apply. New customers only. Offer applies to 1 gig and 2 gig broadband. €100 bill credit applied automatically to customers' accounts on April 1st, 2025. The Wi-Fi guarantee ensures minimum download speeds of 30 meg in every room. Offer ends February 5th, 2025.
My car, my rules. My laughing with friends place, or alone with my thoughts place. My private karaoke room. My mobile wardrobe. My pink fluffy slippers. My car is my me place.
With AXA Car Insurance, you can protect the place where you can truly be yourself. And with accident forgiveness as standard, you won't lose your full no-claims discount if you have an accident. Get a quote online or call into your local branch. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. Accident forgiveness is step back. No claims discount protection for customers with 4 or more years. No claims discount. AXA Insurance Stack is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Thinking of getting a new car in 2025? Why not get one in 2026 as well? Buy a selected 251 Nissan and we'll replace it with a 261 Nissan for free. For details about this and all our 251 offers, contact your local Nissan dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Copper is incredible. Sure, isn't that why Alexander Graham Bell used it? It's a perfect connection to the 19th century. Modern life needs modern technology. Cyro has always been fibre first. They get you up to speed with super fast, reliable, future-proofed fibre broadband. Get it through their retail partners like DigiWeb, Pure, Sky, Vodafone and others at cyro.ie today. Cyro, do life different. Subject to availability and location. Oh, lovely.
Cooney's Home Interior's biggest ever winter sale is now on with massive reductions across all ranges of sofas, dining, mattresses and bedroom. Floor clearance on many items with incredible savings to be had. Call in and grab that bargain. You won't be disappointed at Cooney's Home Interior's Letterkenny Retail Park.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good afternoon. Good morning. I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. Final arguments in the trial of the man accused of the murder of Buncrana woman Danielle McLaughlin are due to be heard this week. Miss McLaughlin was murdered in Goa, India in 2017. Donna Marie Doherty has more.
Vigit Bhagat was arrested and charged with the murder of Danielle McLaughlin in 2017. Miss McLaughlin had been backpacking in India when she was found raped and murdered. His trial faced numerous delays over the years. In July 2023, a High Court in India ordered that the trial be expedited. The trial was due to conclude in September 2024. However, a 4-month extension was granted to the accused lawyers. With final statements due to be made this week, the trial is expected to conclude early next month.
Pressure is mounting on negotiation teams to form a new government before the Dáil meets again next week. The regional independents, working with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, is seen as the most likely combination for the new coalition government. Political correspondent Sean Defoe says the issues of health and disability support featured prominently in discussions over the weekend.
There was very long meetings over the weekend, particularly with the regional independents, but also with the two Healy-Rae brothers about the role that they may play in any forthcoming coalition. I think Independent Ireland at this stage are very much on the outside looking in, and it seems to be the regional independents who will definitely support this government and the Healy-Raes who may be a part of it depending on how things fall.
A public inquiry is due to start today into proposals for a controversial gold mine outside Omagh. Canadian company Dalradian has been operating the mine near Greencastle in the Sperrin Mountains since 2009. The company claims their work will boost the economy. However, local campaign group has been attempting to halt operations for a number of years, given its location close to a designated area of outstanding natural beauty. West Tyrone MLA Declan McAleer says there are also serious health and safety concerns.
It must be also borne in mind that the proposal in question is located only about 1,200 metres from the local primary school and the local football club, and there's a lot of serious local concern that this industry would use like chemicals to extract the ore, and the possibility of that finding its way into the airways and also into the waterways, which are protected waterways, which feed into the Foyle Basin.
There's renewed concern about hospital overcrowding as a new report shows almost 2,500 people died last year due to lengthy waits on trolleys. Analysis by data scientist Stephen Black, reported in the Irish Daily Mail, found 72% of patients are spending over 6 hours on a trolley. The Irish Nurses and Midwives Organisation says it's not surprised by the stark findings and says more treatment needs to be delivered in the community. Phil Nehay, General Secretary of the INMO, says waiting on trolleys drastically affects patients' outcomes.
The more important thing is elderly people, when they attend hospital, we have lots of evidence. Our members are constantly saying to us that it's really terrible because they can be independent going into hospital, and just by virtue of being on a trolley, they become dependent, and the weight on the trolley of itself is really, really bad.
Donegal has the second highest unemployment rate per capita in Ireland. 464 people per 10,000 people in the county are unemployed. Louth had the highest rate at 496. The analysis by the National Pension Helpline revealed that 8 counties had over 400 people on the live register per 10,000 of the population, while the average across the country was 320. Gardaí in Donegal are appealing to homeowners to be vigilant when leaving their properties vacant, even if only for a few minutes. They're warning against opportunistic burglars and are urging people to ensure all doors and windows are secured and an alarm is set when leaving home. Gardaí are advising property owners to light up their house, use timer switches when out, store keys away from windows and letterboxes, and to not store large amounts of cash at home, and to keep highly valuable items in a safe. Weather now cloudy and breezy today with outbreaks of rain and drizzle. Highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website highlandradio.com. Good morning.
The obituary notices this Monday morning, January 13th. The death has taken place of Bridget Gallagher, the Mullins Carndonagh. Her remains are reposing at her home from 6:30 this evening, where all are welcome to pay their respects. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to Sacred Heart Church Carndonagh for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish webcam. Family time please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. The death has taken place of Nonny Gallagher, Derrybeg, Gweedore, originally of Dunlow. His remains will repose at Rorty's funeral home, Derrybeg, between 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock today and tomorrow, with rosary at 8 p.m. His funeral mass will be held in St Mary's Church, Derrybeg, on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Interment afterwards in Maharagowan Cemetery. The funeral mass will be streamed on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Bernadette Bernie Temple, Town Parks Rafo. Her remains will repose at her home from 12 noon until 10 p.m. today and tomorrow. Funeral leaving there on Wednesday at 10:30 for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass in St Eunan's Church Rafo, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired, to the Donegal Hospice care of any family member or Terence McClintock Funeral Director. House private please on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Margaret Leahy ní McCluskey, 74 Drumleck Drive. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:40 a.m. for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass in Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Steelestown. Interment afterwards in St Mary's Cemetery, Ardmore. Family time please from 10 o'clock tonight. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers if wished to Friends of Eltnagelvin, the Cancer Centre, care of Mr Peter Nichol. The death has occurred of Charlie Hickey, 11 Laverty Fold, Derry. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 9:20 to St Eugene's Cathedral, Derry, for Requiem Mass at 10 a.m. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if wished to Chest, Heart and Stroke Association. The death has taken place of Albert Baskin, Kernas Ardra. His remains will repose at his residence this evening from 6 o'clock. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for 2 p.m. funeral service at Church of Ireland Church Ardra, with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Family time from 10 a.m. tonight. The death took place in Selby, Yorkshire, on December 16, 2024, of Sean Logue, late of Gortnatra, Kerrykill. Sean's funeral mass will take place on Thursday morning in St Mary's Church, Leeds Road, Selby, Yorkshire at 9:30. The death has occurred of Sean Temple, Cavan Lower, Gordon, reposing at his residence today from 12 noon until 10 p.m. Funeral leaving there tomorrow morning at 10:20 for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Gordon, interment in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on the parish YouTube channel. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to the Patients Comfort Fund at St Joseph's Community Hospital, Stranorlar, care of any family member. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. The death has occurred of Clare Breslin, 7 St Oran's Drive, Buncrana. Requiem Mass ongoing at St Mary's Oratory, Buncrana, followed by interment in St Mary's Cemetery, Cockhill. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Society of St Vincent de Paul, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Mary Rosalind Canning, Old Road, Ballymacary, Lower, Buncrana. Remains are reposing at her home. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:15 to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. tonight and on the morning of the funeral. Family and close friends only. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has occurred of PJ Rooney, Lahey, West Tullywee, Lahey, reposing at his family home. Removal from there this morning at 10:15, going to St Bridget's Church, Balnatragh, for 11 a.m. funeral mass, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Funeral mass will be streamed on churchservices.tv. Family home private before the funeral, please. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Patients Comfort Fund, Donegal Community Hospital, care of Jackie Cairn, funeral directors or any family member. The death has occurred of Marie Donnelly, Castlefin. Funeral leaving her late residence this morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Dunnyloop at 11 a.m. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on the YouTube channel. Family time before the funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if so desired, to St Vincent de Paul, Dunnyloop, care of any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
It's flu season, and children are twice as likely as adults to catch the flu, which can sometimes cause serious illness. That's why all children aged 2 to 17 can get their free nasal spray flu vaccine, a safe and effective way to protect them, and the rest of your family too. So make an appointment with your GP or pharmacist. Visit hsc.ie/flu for more information. From the HSC.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back to the second hour of the aforementioned named 9 till Noon Show. Some of your comments coming in, just a question that I sent in when the doctor was on with all the flu past month or so, and probably peaking now before the end of the month, as since COVID in December, January was always a peak time for it. Not a murmur about it this period. Where did it go? I can't understand it. And all I know, if you're on about doctors, I don't know, all anyone I've been engaging with has been talking about the terrible flu that was going around. We had it from the start of Christmas, and it only really cleared for me and others last Thursday or Friday. It's been all the talk of anywhere I've been, if I've read your message correctly. Greg, from time to time I've had the need to use the public washing machines. These last 2 weeks I've used them twice because we had no electricity. And the twice my clothes were destroyed by people who own dogs and horses using the machines to wash their animal stuff. Our clothes are now covered in animal hair. Surely these people would be banned or should be banned from using the machines that people use for clothes, or at the very least there should be made use separate machines. Sometimes I lose my faith in the public to be so unthinking of others to use these machines for their animals. I notice they won't use their own machines to do it. I've never come across this before. You know, we talk about an awful lot of stuff here on the program. This has never come across in front of me before. Is this a thing? I haven't used the public washing machines, but a caller says their clothes have been destroyed twice now because people are washing dog and horse stuff in these machines as well, and they believe that they should not use them or should have separate machines. Is that something you've ever come across? I presume it can't just be one listener. Let us know. 086 60 25,000. Hi, just wondering what the story is on election posters still up in the area. Who do I contact? Well, you could contact the person in question or the council, I'm sure. It is littering at this point, and there are quite hefty fines. So it's up to you if you want to maybe reach out to the candidate. Maybe they can get people in whichever area you're talking of. I know one or two that are up, actually. They can come and get them down if you want to give them a chance to do so. Or you could just go straight to the council and report it as an act of littering. It's really up to you how you want to progress that. Hi, Greg. Regarding a speaker you had on your show last week, I agree with your thoughts on mental health issues and how people are treated presenting with mental health crisis in the ED. Many are sent home. Others leave as the wait is impossible for them. Facts on paper, and reality doesn't always match up. We are in a crisis in Donegal, they say. Person-to-person communication is the only way to get some relief and healthcare plan for those in deep and desperate need. By the time they've presented at the ED, time is crucial. Immediate action is what's needed, keeping with them by their side so they know in that time of darkest despair there is someone there for them. Should they be sitting in silence and pain? Thanks, Greg, and nice words about the programme. I do appreciate it. Keeping your problem at home, Greg. I'm very worried about our health system. They're trying to blame people for not getting vaccinated. I think the problem lies with the government, as so many refugees, Ukrainians and others have the government have taken into Ireland, and how many doctors, nurses, surgeons, hospital beds they've made available for these people. It's an absolute disgrace. I can move to other areas, schools, dentist options. This goes on and on and on. Nothing being done about it. Only blame people for not getting vaccinated. An absolute disaster. Haven't heard much of vaccination blame, to be honest with you. I think there was a story about the low uptake of the vaccine, but it's up to each and every one of you to do what you wish to do. I presume if the vaccines are effective, as they say, people taking them, they're less likely to go into hospital. But this caller believes the increase in the population in this country is the root cause of the problems in the health system. And clearly, if you bring, in excess of 100,000 people into our country, I should say, and the services don't improve, more school places, more hospital beds, more doctors and nurses, more GPs, obviously that's going to put a pressure on, isn't it? Thanks very much for your comment there, though. Now, I just want to give a mention to the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards 2025. It's been run in association with Fulcher Ireland and Donegal County Council. Now, after we launched this on the show on Friday, we had an amazing response. Loads and loads of nominations coming in for various businesses right across the region. And we're inviting you to nominate a business. You can go onto our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see how you can do it. It's really simple. You name your business. If you want to put down a few words as to why you think that business should be shortlisted, please feel free to do so, but no pressure, because we all have different abilities in terms of writing and all that type of stuff, so I don't want to preclude anyone from them. But we have a number of sections. There's the obvious one, the hotel sector. So have you been to a hotel spa and you believe it's the best spa and the staff in the hotel deserve credit? Nominate them. Maybe you've had a brilliant breakfast in a hotel and you think that deserves credit. There's a category for that. The best leisure centre, wedding coordinator of the year, manager of the year. So that's the hospitals. The same with restaurants, best casual dining, best fine dining, best cafe, best hotel restaurant, best burger. Maybe you couldn't afford to leave a tip. Maybe you want to thank them in a different way. Go onto our website, pick your favourite business and let them nominate them, and maybe they could be successful. In tourism and entertainment, best family value, best music event, best coffee shops, and on it goes. In the bar and pub section, best late night cocktail, pub of the year, bar food of the year, best beer garden, best music bar. You know yourself, if you've gone into your local bar and there's great music and you go, do you know what, this place puts on great music for us every weekend, if you're lucky enough to get out every weekend, then nominate them. Go onto our website, and it's a very, very simple process. And also too, maybe sometimes your loyal customers need a little bit of an egg on. So don't be afraid if you are in the hotel industry, the bar industry, the restaurant industry, whatever it might be. Don't be afraid to stick on your social medias. If you've enjoyed your experience in our business, please give us a vote in the Highland Radio Awards, because they are very highly regarded, very highly. They they are very good for businesses, and it shows that it's the people that use the businesses that are nominating them and voting for them. So it's really good for your business. The Highland Radio Hospitality Awards 2025, we just have a short window where you can nominate. So get onto the website right now, highlandradio.com. And you'll also this year, separate to previous years, you'll also this year, once we have our shortlist, be able to vote again, because we want the public's fingerprints all over this, so that people that come out on top, it's the people primarily who decided that, though also they'll be assisted by a panel of excellent judges as well. So that's the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards 2025. Please get onto our website and vote for a business and give them a wee boost. Even being nominated will be a big boost to some of them. Rightio, let us take a break. Loads to come on the 9 till noon show for the next wee while, so stay right where you are.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 13th of January. You're playing on the green sheet for the daily prize of €600. The reference number is S11. It's game number 3. The numbers are 34, 16, 40, 39, 77, 54, 46, 20, 55, and finally 52. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Luxury is not merely seen or heard or even touched. True luxury is experienced. It lies in the minute details that elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's quiet spoken, but leaves a lasting impression. You know it when you feel it. Luxury begins with L. Lexus. Experience amazing. Discover the all-electrified range at Lexus Letterkenny.
It's time to upgrade your home, refresh your gadgets, and grab unbeatable deals at Irwin Expert Electrical. Our January sale is packed with incredible offers on big brands such as Whirlpool, Bosch, Samsung and LG, and Shark and Ninja. Hurry in store to make the most of these limited time deals. And if you're building, buying, or renovating, now is a great time to avail of our layaway service. Ask in store for details. Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Prioritise your health this year. Book a comprehensive health screening at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070. Early detection saves lives.
Right, okay, we're joined on the programme now by Councillor Martin McDermott, Chair of the Defective Block Scheme. Good morning to you. Thanks for your time as always.
Good morning, Greg.
Now, we are just going to get an update as to where we are in terms or in relation to the Defective Block Scheme. Obviously, a lot of conversation is about the IS 465 protocol. It was set back in 2017 and is under review now by the National Standards Authority. It underpins really this entire scheme. And at the moment, correct me where I'm wrong here, it would sort of state that mica is the primary cause of defective concrete blocks. We are now, and the science has told us this, we are now of the view that mica is not the issue, it's other deleterious materials. So that's why IS 465 needs to be reviewed. That review's ongoing. Any updates in relation to that, Councillor?
Yeah, well, we met with the department on the 13th of December. A delegation from Donegal went to Dublin, met with senior officials in the Department of Housing. We had a 3.5 hour meeting with them to discuss a lot of different issues and a number of issues that we had. Predominantly, the update to IS465 was one of the main topics that we discussed. We had previously met them a couple of months prior to that, and we asked at that stage that options 2 to 5 wouldn't be considered until the review would happen. So that needed a legislative change. They just can't do that just by only the minister can do that through legislation. They did give us an update that the review is now ready to come out in the first quarter of 2025. It will be out to public consultation. They were hoping by early February. It will be out for everyone to comment on, including the professionals and anyone that wants to make a comment. It will be up for public consultation. So that when we get our hands on that and see what the National Standards Authority are putting forward to the department and what the department are putting forward to us as a review of IS465, whether that changes the determinations of options 1 to 5, we don't know yet. Whether that will include foundations, we don't know yet. The research that they've done, they said they've done a number of researches with a number of different organisations and a number of different geologists to get so that one company wasn't doing them all, that there was a number of different insights into getting the right option here. Mm-hmm. So that hopefully will be out, and that'll give us a better insight, Greg, as to how we proceed forward. But
how independent is that process in your view, Martin? Because obviously, there could be concern amongst those affected by this that if you wanted to be favourable to the state, that it might recognise the cause of the blocks deteriorating, but it might not go so far as to include internal walls or foundations. And I would say the foundations one is still very much up in the air. But that in terms of the 2 to 5 effectively, like, are you confident that this is fully independent and we will actually at the end of the day be following the science?
Yeah, I think it will, Greg, and I think it has to be because and we've had this conversation myself and yourself on many an occasion where the reality is that the scheme is probably ahead of the science, and it has been for a while now, particularly going back to, when the 90-10 scheme came in 2020, and we moved into that sphere from June 2020 to sort of early 2021, when the council themselves had issues with what was coming in and seeing that there was the reports that were coming into the council did have deleterious materials, and it wasn't just a freeze-thaw issue. So this has gone on for quite some time. It's disappointing that it takes so long to get this review done, because there are houses remediated and there's a lot of work going on and people want to move forward. But people that are getting options, and particularly options 3, where they're asking people to build on top of rising walls that are from the same supplier as the walls above ground level. Those type of situations, and personally, I don't think that's should even be an option. That someone is asked to build a house on top of blocks from the same supplier.
It's probably not a good use of and I think any member of the public around the entire country, I think if they had a 3-minute explanation as to why this is not potentially a good use of public money, would go, right, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Now, obviously, we can't expect everyone around the country to have the same understanding as those affected here might, but a lot of it's common sense.
Yeah, a lot of it's common, particularly when houses that have, legs of houses that have bison slabs, like no contractor will even look at a house that has bison slabs that you have to take down both inner and outer walls to try and keep those bison slabs in place, try and keep the roof in place. And then on top of that, keeping the blocks below ground level, again, as I said, from the same supplier. And, this is house that I took the department back in October when they were up here and showed them those type of scenarios and those type of situations that, just does not make sense. Yeah. Both, as you say, from a practical point of view and from a cost point of view and from a state point of view, they just don't make sense.
Yeah, and also what doesn't make sense, I was speaking to someone who they were about to start building on the rising walls, and they noticed that those walls, and people call them different things, but I think people know what we're talking about, that they were showing signs of deterioration. And they contacted the housing agency. I believe it is the housing agency, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they called out and they went, oh, okay, well, in that instance, then we'll extend it to cover... You know what I mean? So in other words, casually it's happening whereby you can demonstrate that the rising walls are deteriorating. They will relook at it and reevaluate. So it's happening, but it's happening in an ad hoc way, which doesn't make any sense. And if some people are cute enough to say, right, I want to get a housing agency rep out here, they're sorted. And if you're not cute enough, you're building your house on these blocks that could well fail going forward. And I don't think that, again, doesn't make any sense to anyone and shouldn't make any sense to anyone.
And, that option is there if someone does start remediation and finds that there's something, different or something wrong below ground level that hasn't been included in the option that they've been given. So someone that might be given an option 4, for instance, that is just taking down the outside wall to down course level and not taking out the rising walls, and they see that there is something wrong with them, they can come back into the housing agency and they will come out and look at it. And every situation that I've seen to date, the housing agency has, changed that remediation option and given them the higher remediation option to sort out that problem. But as you say, those types of problems we need to be dealing with at the very start.
Yeah.
We need to be having that right from the start so that the homeowner is getting the right option from the start. And I think that hopefully when the review is done now, that will happen.
There's been extensive research done and it's ongoing involving the likes of Professor Dunlop and others and backed by McGee and all that kind of stuff, right? That's there and it demonstrates what the findings of that are. That's not that is not part of this review though, is it? It's this other review of IS 465 is separate. They're conducting their own scientific evaluation for their own science people. Are they reflecting, or do we know if they're leaning on that other batch of science that's already there? I'm just wondering if we find ourselves in a situation whereby Dr. Lehman and Professor Dunlop and their science is, at odds in any way at all to the review that's happening at the moment. It would be quite a difficult situation to find ourselves in.
Yeah, I could be corrected in this, Greg, but as far as I'm aware, the review that was done by Professor Dunlop and by Anders Lehman was given to the National Standards Authority and has been looked at as part of this review as well.
Yeah.
So the information that they have collated over the last number of years, and they've done a lot of work, and Professor Dunlop from Buncrana has done an awful lot of work on this. To try and get the right science and the right information to the National Standards Authority. So, and he has been working with the National Standards Authority to put this to them. So they do have that information and, hopefully that'll be part of whatever review that they're going to give us now in the next number of weeks. That is part of that as well.
Yeah, you mentioned in this meeting a lot of stuff was discussed. A couple of other topics, particularly one... families with a disability or families with a family member with a disability, some sort of a provision for them. So I suppose, I'm not sure how common this is or isn't, but why was this call made and what might happen as a result?
Yeah, well, we have situations, Greg, and you would have people on your own show and regularly with children with disabilities and families with people with disabilities. And as you know, it's very difficult, even in the circumstances here at the minute, to get respite or to get anywhere for somebody with a disability to go. How can anyone expect a family to move out of a home for at least a year that has children with disabilities or adults with disabilities and find accommodation that would suit those children or those adults? Because a lot of the time, those children and adults need 24-hour care. They need house within the house. They have a way of working within that house that they're settled with and they are happy with. And sometimes people, when they're taken out of that environment, find it very difficult to settle in another environment. And we feel that, in those circumstances, that the people that do have the room and do have the ability to build their house beside the house that they have, that they should be allowed to do that, so that when, the changeover happens, and someone might have to go in somewhere for a small period of time, like a week or two, to change over the the house and all that kind of stuff, that it's only for a small period of time, and that would alleviate a lot of the stress for those families. The department, now, to be fair to them, have taken that point very seriously, and they have committed that they will certainly try and come back. I'm hoping before the end of this month with a solution to that. There is a little bit of a problem at the minute that we have, that there's no actual Minister for Housing in place. There's as you know, Darrell O'Brien is temporary the Minister for Housing, but the Minister can't make any changes until the new government is in place. So when that Minister, whoever that may be, is in place, that will be one of our first, things to do, to try and get a quick meeting with whoever that Minister is going to be, to try to solve these, I suppose you could call them low-hanging fruit, that we could get quick answers to and quick resolutions to, that would allow people in those situations to move forward.
In these meetings, listen, there is no doubt there are some people, dependent on the size of their house and what have you, that are able to rebuild their house within the finances of this scheme. There are some that can do that. We obviously hear, and I'm not sure if we overemphasize or overamplify those that can't. But there are, you also know yourself, Martin, there are those that can't, or there are older people who can't get access for finance, even if there's 20, 30,000 euro shortfall or what have you. So I respect that there's a whole spectrum of people affected by this. But at these meetings, because we talked about this scheme, and it's been demonstrated here that it can evolve and what have you. Is there any conversation or at this point about maybe taking a look at the scheme to include those who can't borrow? An elderly couple, for an example, because you've talked of particular examples like those with a family member with a disability or what have you. Do you think there's still scope within the scheme to recognise that some people, are going to be short, they can't borrow money, and they need some other sort of assistance? I think these are little problems, if we could overcome, that this scheme could bed in a little bit more, with a little bit more agreement, if that makes sense. I don't think it's ever going to be everything for everyone. That's unfortunate, but do you get where I'm coming from? Maybe even Absolutely. Just broaden it slightly to it catches more people.
Yes, exactly. I totally agree with that. And there's probably two aspects to what you're saying there. That you have the elderly families, the elderly people that are at a point where they don't really want to start the process, and it's not an easy process, Greg. It's not an easy process to start to have to take everything out of your house, down to the last thing that you own in that house has to come out and move to another house, and then start and demolish that house and rebuild it. That's not an easy process for anyone. But for particularly people that are elderly, they don't want to do that. And there should be, and that's something again that we'll have a conversation with the Minister, whoever that may be, to see if there's a way that, we talk about an end-to-end scheme, that even there was, an option of that for people that were elderly, that could avail of some end-to-end system that would work for them. Not sure it could be for everyone, but for them. And then a lot of other people mightn't want that. They're happy enough to take on the build and do it themselves, and maybe try to save money here and there that get them back into the house, or do some work themselves to get back into the house, and that's fair enough as well. But the other thing that I said to the department as well, and this is something I feel that would be an easy fix. The biggest problem here that I see at the minute, and I'm in the middle of it myself, and the problem that people have is having, and it's a bit like running a business, it's having the cash flow. The cash flow needs to be there to so that if your builder needs some money, or you want to order windows tomorrow morning, and the man that wants the windows says, yeah, I'll get your windows ordered, they'll be there in about 4 weeks' time, but he needs $3,000 of a deposit. And someone else needs $3,000 of a deposit, and someone else. And, I said this to the department, there should be a way now, and this is something I want to look at, that, some of the money, if you're getting 420,000 or 460,000, whatever it may be, the last 10% of that is held back at the end until the house is finished. So you don't get the last 10%, so it's 42,000 or 46,000, whatever it may be. They, at the very start of the project, if a release of 20 or 30,000 would be released to the homeowner, to allow them to start that process, to allow them to get their deposits paid and to get all that, the council and the department in particular still have that last 10% that makes sure that they won't be caught out here. So there's no reason. You're not giving anybody any extra money. You're not giving them any money that they wouldn't be getting anyway. But it would give them a start of the process.
And I think why that's important.
I
I think why that's important as well is that it was inevitable, and I'm not. It was inevitable that the square foot cost of building a house in Donegal was going to go up because a level was set right. So a lot of people are getting prices now. It's 200, 230, 200, up to €240 per square foot. And what happens is it's inflated that cost for everybody, and contractors are going to take on the handiest jobs. So it's very important that we make it as easy as possible for because we've driven the price up, right? It's very important we make it as easy as possible for contractors to say, yeah, I'll do that. I'll get in on that job because that's just the way it is. Finally and briefly, and sorry for taking up so much of your time, the property charge. On the wider scale of things, it's a small amount of money, but it sticks in the craw, right? Because people with houses that are falling down effectively or deteriorating, they're being charged the property tax potentially. But clarify who has to pay it, who doesn't have to pay it.
Well, I think going back to when it was announced that the property tax, people that have defective blocks were exempt from property tax. I don't think that was explained very well at the time, and it sort of put out there that everybody was exempt from property tax. You're not exempt from property tax until you get that letter from the housing agency or the local authority to say that you've been accepted onto the scheme and your remediation option is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So if I get someone to call to the housing engineer for the visual, effectively, and they say, well, that's a big crack. Yeah, I believe that you can apply to the scheme, even though he or she's pretty much confirmed I have defective concrete, I still have to pay that property charge, whether people like it or not, until I get the letter to say that I'm on the scheme. So that initial engineer's report, in and of itself, as terrible that news might be, that is not enough to relieve you of that charge.
No, that's not until you get the confirmation in writing from the housing agency or through the Donegal County Council that you're exempt from property tax. And that is a problem because people do, think that when they get their engineer's report and it says that you have defective home, that you're exempt from property tax. At that point, you're not, because the first thing when you go to get your payment or you start your remediation works, you have to be tax compliant at that point. And tax compliant means that you have to pay your property tax. Exactly, yeah. So that one it needs to be cleared up. And there's just one other one I wanted to maybe just say, Greg, that I wanted to clear up. It's a bit confusing for people as well. Is that, someone that passes on their house to, like, someone's elderly, and, they might think, well, I want to pass on the house to Greg Hughes, but, they need to be on the scheme. If they're, I'll explain it in two different ways here, right? First of all, if you're not on the scheme, so if you have a defective concrete block home and you're willing that house to someone else and you're not on the scheme, the person that's getting that house, the house would have to be their principal point of residence. Now, if you are on the scheme and you've entered the scheme and you've got the go-ahead that you've gotten options 1 to 5 and you are on the scheme, and something happens, you pass away, and that's willed to someone else, that doesn't have to be their principal private residence. They can finish out that scheme, get their money, finish the house. But if you're not on the scheme, the house that the person that gets the house can still avail of the scheme, but it would have to be their principal private.
For how long?
Sorry?
Is there a time scale on that?
No, there's no time scale on that. No.
So I could move in and then instantly it becomes my principal. Okay.
One of the problems that I and we took this up with the department when we met them. If you take and I said about myself, if it was me and my mother and father were still living and they passed me on a house that was defective, I can never let that be my principal private residence because I've already.
So if I go out now and buy a house, right, and it turns out that it's got defective concrete, can I go on the scheme?
No.
Right. So how then is it permitted? What's the provision that allows someone who inherits a house, moves into it, and then goes on the scheme? What's happening there?
Well, that changed, you see, when the new legislation was done back when the new enhanced scheme came in in 2023, that it allowed people that were willed the house by their mother or father that they would be entitled to get that house fixed.
So it's a special provision.
It's a special permission, but you'd have to be willed that house by a parent or whoever, that would allow them to enter the scheme. But to be clear, if you're not on the scheme, it has to be a principal private residence. If you are on the scheme, that house can be finished out with no principal private residence.
But just a couple of comment stroke questions before I let you go. What do people do that are in possession of an engineer's report stating a demolition is necessary? Do we now pretend it doesn't exist when we are downgraded? So this is that group of individuals. Demolition has been recommended. They've been downgraded. Do we sit and wait for the review of IS 465? What do we do?
I think you have to wait now until the review comes out within the next couple of months. I know the housing agency that are contacting people at the minute that are getting options other than option one, and they're giving them the option of moving forward or letting that sit until the review comes out. So that review, as I say, will be out in the next couple of months. Anybody they're doing at the minute that's not option one, they are contacting them and saying, look, you're getting an option 2, 3, 4. Do you want to sit on that? Do you want to go with that? Or do you want to wait till the review comes out? And most people now, and anybody that contacts me, I would say, look, for the value of a couple of months, if you can wait till the review comes out to see where this is going.
Okay, and just as we're talking, there's loads of questions coming in. I just can't get to them right now. I'll just ask this one briefly. Does Martin know, do the council pay for caravans to live in for houses to be demolished? People just don't have €15,000 to hand out of their own pocket.
Yeah, so that again, we got that changed earlier this year. So if someone wants to get a mobile home to live on their site while their house has been demolished, they can go and get the receipt from whoever they're buying that off, send that into the local authority. They will pay out the 15,000 or 14,000, whatever the amount of money is to them. They have 3 months then to prove that they paid that person that money and send that receipt back in to the local authority. And
I understand that's actually moving quite efficiently, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's been prioritised.
You can get that money up front. You are entitled to get that 15,000 up front to pay the person that you're getting the mobile home from.
All right, Caroline's going to kill me, but another quick question. Can you ask why are the house agencies taking so long to assess houses? They told me September 24 they'd be with me quarter 2025. What about the thousands of people behind me? At this rate, I'll be lucky to start my house next year.
Yeah, there was a bit of a slow back in the housing agency, and I think that they had been inundated, I suppose, with a lot of but when all that happened with the housing agency and the department over the options, they had a lot of freedom of information to get done, and I suppose that takes up some of their time as well. But I was talking to the housing agency just a couple of days ago, middle of last week, and they are trying to get caught up, and they have been catching up over Christmas. So we are meeting again, I think, next week. And the housing agency will be at that meeting, so we'll get an update from them of where they are at that point.
This is probably something we can't help with, but an observation lastly. I've forwarded my letter of acceptance to Revenue twice, and they've told me twice that the letter isn't acceptable. I plan on ringing them this week to try and sort it out over the phone. I've uploaded the email to them and posted a hard copy. It's holding up my rebuild. I've already moved out of my home. That's probably is that a one-off case between this individual and Revenue, if you come across that?
It should be very clear if when you get that letter from the local authority and send that to Revenue, normally they would automatically then stop your property tax. So if there's a problem with that, sure, you can give my number and we can get in contact with you.
Rightio. Listen, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it. Take care of yourself. That's Councillor Martin McDermott there, who's chair of the Defective Block Scheme. Just trying to keep you up to date with things as they. I was going to say progress. You might not feel the progression, but just as there are updates.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny, specialising in women's health from cervical checks to specialist care. Start the year with confidence. Book now at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
Octavia, Fabia, Scala, Superb, Kamiq, Karoq, Enyaq, Kodiaq, petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid, electric, HVO. So much choice, but not that much time. Whatever 251 Skoda you choose, you should order it now, because even though we have a wide range, they're selling fast. See what stock is left at skoda.ie and order yours today.
Skoda.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
If you smell gas at home or on the street, don't ignore it. Open windows and doors. Don't smoke, vape, or use a naked flame. Don't unplug or switch anything electrical on or off. Turn off the gas at the meter. Then, no matter who your gas supplier is, call Gas Networks Ireland on 1800 20 50 50. Visit gasnetworks.ie to screenshot the safety steps, save them to your device, and share with friends and family.
The attic, the extension on the extension, the good sitting room, the naughty step, the morally ambiguous lounge, various nooks, assorted crannies, under the bed with the monsters. Get uninterrupted Wi-Fi in every room guaranteed, or we'll give you €150 back with our Wi-Fi guarantee. Now available free with 1 gig and 2 gig broadband. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. Minimum download speeds of 30 meg in every room or €150 one-off credit. Exclusions and legal stuff applies. See virginmedia.ie.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Start the new year with peace of mind. Book your free cervical check today at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070.
The new Kuga plug-in hybrid. It's more than just the sum of its parts. With more tech plus all the latest spec. A massive boot space plus loads of room for the kids in the back. And exceptional comfort plus a bold new look. It all adds up to a powerful formula. It's everything you'd expect from the Kuga, plus the unexpected. The new Kuga plug-in hybrid. Now available with up to €5,500 off new vehicles for 251. Search new Ford Kuga or find out more at Ford.ie. Ford, bring on tomorrow.
Atlantic Travel is ready to book your cruise. Book early to secure the best price and best available cabins, including those limited family suites. See and sail the Greek Isles, cultural cities of Italy and the Croatian coastline, or venture further afield to Asia and Japan, or an Alaskan adventure. Spread the cost with payment plans. Atlantic Travel Letterkenny, the cruise experts, having sailed extensively with all major cruise lines.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
When it comes to electrical waste recycling, we're pretty good with the big items like fridges, dishwashers and TVs. But what about those mystery cables or broken mobile phones? We throw them in a drawer, along with that ancient laptop that just might come in handy someday. The good news? You can recycle anything with a plug, battery or cable for free. And it couldn't be easier. For a list of drop-off points and participating retailers, just go to mywaste.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. It's time to save big with the McElhinney's winter sale. Enjoy up to 50% off fashion, homeware, accessories and more. In store and online at mcelhinneys.com today.
So cloudy and breezy today with outbreaks of rain and drizzle. Highest temperatures of 10 to 12 degrees in fresh to strong southwest winds. There'll be mist and fog over hills and some windward coasts, whatever they are. Okay. Now, as you would know, the BT Young Scientist and Technology exhibition took place last week, and we were very well represented in Donegal, as we always are. And we're delighted to welcome onto the programme now Ruth McPollan, teacher at St Columba's Comprehensive in Glentees. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello, Greg. How are you? Thanks for
Good.
having us on today.
No, it's great to have you with us. And sitting to your left is student Ciara Pihoska, who is a fifth-year student at St. Columba's Comprehensive in Glenties. Good morning to you, Ciara. Is it Clara? Clara, I beg your pardon. That's my fault for once. Clara, my apologies. Right, okay, so talk to me about your project first, Clara, if you don't mind.
Oh, no, I don't mind. My project was about harnessing Donegal's coastal wealth. Donegal itself, it has a lot of seaweed on our beaches. Our beaches can be completely covered in seaweed, and I wanted to utilise that in a way that we can start making a bit of a change in Ireland. Ireland, as itself, there's a lot of cars, trains, and other vehicles that produce a lot of greenhouse gases into our atmosphere. And I wanted to see if there's any way we can change that. Brazil itself, it produces a lot of biodiesel from other crops. And from my research, I found that seaweed doesn't compete with other feedstock and other crops. And so I wanted to see if there's any chance at all we can make biodiesel out of seaweed from Donegal.
Theoretically, we can we? And how would we go about doing so?
We can, of course. I found in my research that it is very much possible. I conducted 3 experiments in Donegal in ATU in the campus, and I done 2 extraction type experiments and transesterification, which is the conversion of the oils into biodiesel. I found that using a solvent to extract the oil is a lot better than using hot steam.
And how did you manage to get such strong backing, of course, from the school and of the ATU as well? Because it's one thing to have an idea, right? It's different then to progress it and prove your idea. So you have to have buy-in from different people, don't we? Because you actually wanted to say, this is not just something we can do, but demonstrate how it can be done. So how did you manage to convince people to work with you on this?
Well, hopefully it's my passion. I was very passionate about doing something good for a change. And I got in contact with Dr. Dennis McCrudden in ATU. He was amazing. He helped me with everything, and he really put a start to it. And the school has been so supportive. They didn't shut down my idea at all. They embraced it and they made it possible.
But obviously, given your ethos, there's no point burning 3 litres of diesel, is there, to create 1 litre of biofuel? It has to be done in a way, doesn't it, whereby the whole process is as environmentally minded as possible.
Yeah, so for harvesting the seaweed itself, I decided on a low scale to hand pick it. I picked my 3 types and I went with that. I hand picked it and I let it dry naturally. And I just took it to ATU and the experiments were done.
Wow, brilliant stuff. Ruth, I mean,
yes.
Amazing, isn't it? As I say, it's not just a notion Clara had. She wanted to prove it.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, it was here at the school, we're always trying to encourage and give them opportunities to excel here. And when Clara came and said, and it was such a simple idea, she said, I was out walking on the beach in Portnew, our local beach, and she said, I'm just the amount of seaweed that's there and underutilized. What can I do? And she came up with this idea of trying to convert it to biodiesel. She went to ATU, she did the experiments there, and as she was saying, they were so good with the supervision and helping her the whole way. She her passion for it, I think, is the thing that everybody is drawn to the experiment because of. Like, I mean, it's infectious. You can actually feel the passion for her environmental issues there. It's palpable. So I think we were very lucky that we had the support we had. And as Clara herself said, at the minute she had started off with 3 varieties. She got a good return basically on the oil from the biodiesel from extracting it. So it's only the start. I mean, I think Clara is going to run with this and she can do very well. I mean, the opportunity for her to expand on this.
Is Dulce any good, Clara?
Oh, Dulce, no.
No, Dulce. I was going to say, did you have sort of, that's a bit for biodiesel, that's a bit for me. Listen, well, congratulations. You won the SSE award given on the best project. And just in terms of your future, Clara, it's a silly question to ask someone in fifth year, maybe, but, do you want to pursue your career with an environmental element to it as you go on to third level and what have you, if you choose to do so?
I mean, I'm considering I haven't really thought about it that much. I've really been focused on my project.
Yeah.
But there's a chance I could pursue it. There's a chance that I could find an even bigger passion in what I'm doing and pursue it further.
All right, Clara, listen, it's been wonderful meeting you. Congratulations on your award and being so persuasive and passionate so that you had such a broad buy-in. And Ruth, again, well done to everyone down at St. Columba's. It's every year we seem to speak to another amazing student with an amazing idea or amazing influence. So you're doing something right down there at the very least. And you're doing a lot right, but you know what I'm saying. Ruth, thanks for your time as always.
Thank you very much.
Take care of yourself. Clara Pihoska, thank you so much for your time as well. It's been lovely meeting you, and the best of luck with everything going forward. I'm sure our paths will cross again. Back with the news, which might be just a little late.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Are you struggling with back pain? Greenview Medical Centre offers access to neurosurgeon services. Book now at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070.
New this week in Home Store and More. All floor lamps are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price floor lamps are gone, they're gone. Also, all home gym equipment and all artificial plants and flowers are still all half price. But when all the half price home gym equipment and all the half price artificial plants and flowers are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
If you have PRSI, you can get free hearing devices at Specsavers. Now, we know what you're thinking. Oh, if they're free, they're bound to be those big old-fashioned ones that do this kind of thing, as well as this kind of thing. But actually, they just do this kind of thing. Amazing sound from a rechargeable piece of tech so small you can barely see it. All completely free. So book a free hearing check at Specsavers now, because OK Hearing is not OK. On hearing devices up to €1,000, terms and conditions apply. See our website for details.
Make more meals for less with Dunnes Stores, where you'll save on ingredients for a delicious one-pan roast chicken and feed 4 for less than €5. That's a Bord Bia quality assured whole small Irish chicken, just €3. Roasted with a 49-cent sweet potato and freshly frozen broccoli florets, just €1.05 for 1 kilo. All from the Dunnes Stores range. Plus, save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
The Renault Symbioz E-Tech Full Hybrid is a study in balance in an all-new family compact SUV, much like a symphony. The solar-based sunroof illuminates or darkens, and the smart infotainment system has Google built in. It's a soaring crescendo of a family hybrid. The new Renault Symbioz from 0% APR or €1,500 trade-in bonus. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. T's and C's apply. MFS, subject to lending criteria. Offers are limited. See Renault.ie.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okie doke, it's just about to turn 11:11. It's time for a news update, and we welcome back into studio Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A review of the Defective Concrete Block Grant Scheme's National Standard IS 465 is expected to be published in the coming weeks. The regulation set in 2017 has been used to help determine remediation options for affected homeowners. The government announced last year that homeowners who've had their remediation options downgraded from full demolition will have the option to have a full review carried out on these decisions once the IS 465 review is completed. There are 2 full days of hearings today and tomorrow in the case of Danielle McLaughlin, the Buncrana woman who was murdered in Goa in 2017. Vigit Baggett was arrested and charged shortly after Danielle's body was discovered, a month after her 28th birthday. However, his trial has faced numerous delays and adjournments since then. It's hoped the case will come to a close in early February. A former government minister says the incoming coalition could bring a renewed focus on rural Ireland. Talks between Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Independents are continuing today as they look to finalise a programme for government. That needs to be done in the coming days if there's any chance of a new government being elected on January 22nd. A local councillor is requesting that Donegal County Council to respond an approved housing body in relation to 8 apartments that remain incomplete in Dunloe. Councillor Michael Colin McGill Asbog says the amount of time it's taken for the construction of the 2-bedroom dwellings is totally unacceptable. It was hoped they would have been finished last year. At a time when homeless figures are on the rise, Councillor McGill Asbog says a wider question needs to be asked in relation to approved housing bodies and their impact on the private market. And finally, forest owners in Donegal are benefiting from a share of over €380,000 in annual premiums. The €24.2 million worth of annual tax-free payment has been issued to over 7,000 forest owners across the country. Minister of State at the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine with responsibility for forestry, Senator Pippa Hackett, is encouraging farmers who may be considering to plant trees to speak to their neighbours who've already done so and to get in touch with a registered forester or an Teagasc forestry advisor. That's all for now from Highland Radio News, back again at 12 noon.
Thanks very much indeed, Donna Marie. Back after this really short break.
How can I help? It's a question I ask my patients every day. It's a question I ask myself. One thing I've learned is that I can help even more when I can easily connect with
physios,
pediatricians, specialists,
nurses,
who are all working with me in a healthcare network that takes a wider view of your health. That's VHI, where healthcare connects. So let me rephrase the question. How can we help?
VHI, because your health means everything.
So we were talking or heard from a listener a little earlier on who was out of power at home and decided to use the public washing machines, and they found that their clothes, they said they were ruined because when they come out they were covered in dog and horse hair, and they were saying it's not fair that some people with these animals are using these machines perhaps to save their own machines, and it's having a knock-on effect on others. Some of your comments. Yes, I agree with the texter about the outdoor washing machines. I never use them, but a lady says to me one day I use them all the time because my children go horse riding and it's handy for big stuff and saves your own machine. I thought nothing of it until the other person with me said that's not very nice. I wouldn't like putting my wash in after horsey stuff. A fella I used to work with was telling me his dog had pups and that the washing machine at filling stations were great for washing the dog beds afterwards. I still get sick looking at him today. Well, that wouldn't be my reaction, but anyway. Philip O'Donnell is owner of Outside Washing Machines at Thomas Keys in Letterkenny and is with us now. Philip, how are you getting on?
Not too bad, Greg. How are you?
Good. We'll talk about your setup because you've got 2 sets. But is this something that you have heard public feedback? And I suppose maybe if you have a different setup, it potentially could be damaging to your business. But is this something that goes on that where there isn't a choice of one or other? People are using the public machines for, dogs and horses, and it's ruining the trade because regular folk who aren't using it for that aren't using them.
Yeah, it is a problem. The Revolution sites that's around the country at a lot of the filling stations and shopping centres. They're unmanned, they're unsupervised, and people can put in what they want. I have the express laundry there at Thomas Keys, and when we were doing our research on what was best practice with the laundrettes before we opened, we discovered this problem. From I suppose talking to family and friends, number one, but also watching what was going on in the industry. And like you've explained, that there are people that have sick animals or that they have whatever, they think it's okay to come down, throw in their washing into these unattended laundrettes. So we decided to do things a little bit different. We put a dedicated washing machine and dryer facing outwards, so that they didn't come into the building, that they weren't able to come into the building where people were washing their clothes and their bed clothes and duvets and whatever, so that there could be no confusion. That what we have outside is for pets and for animals and dog beds and blankets and veterinary clothing and farmers' clothing after the cow calves or whatever.
Yeah.
So we went down that road. It has been very successful for us from the point of view that people don't come in and use the machines that's inside for
the domestic stuff, really.
For the domestic stuff, really. But you know, as I say, that's what we have done to
and just
to
in
combat
terms of
that
the
problem.
machine outside that's used for the agricultural stroke animal stuff, like
yes,
you would know that's what it's used for, would you? Like it then
Yes.
wouldn't be suitable for delicate bedding or what have you. It doesn't
absolutely not.
Yeah, so you've seen what it must be like for someone who's used a different service whereby they've gone in after some of the stuff we're talking about and they could find that the stuff is destroyed.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a couple of different things. It's a totally different machine that we have out for outside.
Right.
It's a more heavy duty machine. It washes at a higher temperature. So you have the risk of, if you put household stuff in there, that it will be destroyed for domestic stuff. That machine goes through a cycle that it sanitizes after every use.
Mm-hmm.
And we have there's 3 or 4 different chemicals that we're using in that machine that's not suitable for household.
I get
also.
So it just goes to show, really, then, if you use facilities that don't have separate machines for sort of domestic use and the other agricultural stroke animal use, and they're not, they don't have people there on site observing what's going on, that this is potentially going to be a problem. And the concern I'd have if I was running one of these businesses is that often the public think everywhere is the same until you get the message out.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's it. A lot of the laundrettes are operating that they're washing clothes at a 30 degree or a 40 degree wash, and they don't have an option to go any higher.
Mm-hmm.
Our washing machines will go a lot higher if you ask for the higher program, especially. We're after coming through, I dread to use the word COVID, but for people, for disinfecting clothing that have been ill or whatever, or, who wants their nice bed sheets to be come out after being washed and then covered in dog hair or horse hair for that matter, So it's not a very nice. The other part about that is a lot of people have allergies to animal hair and whatever, and it's just, I suppose people need to be mindful and respectful.
It is one of those areas
of
about
other users.
It is, because I've also seen situations, or heard of situations where people have used machines, not in your facility, elsewhere, Philip, but they've thrown the stuff in, where they're outside, and then they go on about their daily business and they leave their clothes in the machine, and others are coming up to the machine and it's full of clothes that have gone through the spin and drain and all that type of stuff. Again, I think you're supposed to wait on site and get your stuff out just as soon as it's a bit like electric chargers on cars, isn't it? People plug them in and then head off, and it's free parking. It does require courtesy and thinking of others.
We could definitely do another program on this subject,
right,
Greg.
Okay.
People have busy lives, and maybe unintentionally they go off and they forget about the laundry that's on. And our place, what happens, we have folding tables inside, where we are covered inside in a premises. We have laundry baskets available in the store that if someone comes in and finds somebody's washing in the machine, they will lift it out, put it into a basket and put it up on a folding table.
They're not folded though, will they, Philip? No.
No.
Yeah,
the folding. There is no folding elves or ironing elves available to do that at the minute.
But again, in a way, though, you've created a new normal in that You could have people that think, well, sure, someone's going to throw it in a basket for me, aren't they? But you have to come up with a solution to I suppose, our lack of consideration for each other in a way.
Well, this is it. The problem is we sell time. We rent. Basically, what we do is we rent you a washing machine or a dryer for an allotted amount of time, and if you are going to block that washing machine, nobody else can use it. So it's not fair on the other user that's coming.
No, it's your time, because your time is money, and it's the other customer's time because they've,
we need to be able to make money in the service.
Of course, yeah.
And if we were to wait on everybody to come back, we wouldn't make money. So therefore the service wouldn't be available to after so long. It wouldn't be available. So
all right, Philip. Well, listen, you've cracked it in terms of the separate machine for pets and what have you. No, pets and agricultural clothing, the type of stuff. It operates at a different temperature with different chemicals, not suitable for domestic stuff, but not every facility has your facilities. Philip, thanks very much indeed for that.
Thank you, Greg. Much appreciated.
Bye. He's cleaning up. Do you get it? Cleaning up. Philip O'Donnell there, owner of Outside Washing Machines at Thomas Keys. And speaking of that kind of stuff, I started off with one bag of clothes in the boot of my car to put into one of these recycling machines at the likes of public, what do you call them? Public amenities, I've now got 3 bags of clothes. I'm carrying them around with me. I'm probably damaging the environment because of electricity. Every one I go to is jammed solid with stuff. Stuff still in plastic bags. I'm not even sure if the massive container is empty. But the drawer that you operate to empty the bags in, I am now effectively, I've got 3 wardrobes of clothes in my car, because everywhere I go, doesn't matter what time of the day, when, I've tried to do it under the cover of darkness, I still can't find one of these bloody clothes recycling yokes that isn't jammed or full and jammed, or both, I don't know. Anyway, that's just to do with clothes, completely separate to what we're talking about here, but it's very frustrating. If anyone needs clothes carried around the county, I'm your man, because I'm a professional now at this stage. We travel regularly to Spain. Oh, look at you. Most laundrettes have designated washing machines specifically for pets. If this was followed, then at least people would know which to use. Indeed. It's an interesting one. Never knew it was an issue, but I'll tell you one thing. If I took my clothes out and they were covered in stuff, you'd almost feel you'd have to dump them, wouldn't you? Well done to Brendan and Oisin yesterday and their commentary at the Niamh Padraig match in Dublin. Great atmosphere. Nearly thought I was there. Great passionate interviews after, also from the team and management. The one of the best duos, Brendan and Oisin, operating not just in local radio but across the country. They are excellent together, and they both care. You see, they both care passionately and understand the game, and that's a big difference maker. Well done, Niamh Padraig. It's been a bit of a stop-start season, hasn't it? With the Christmas break in between, but they won a great match yesterday. Showed real grit and resilience, and listening to the manager too. On the morning news bulletin, just the passion he had. You can see how that's helping the team. A caller says the main problem with the vaccine, I presume this is the flu vaccine, is that we hear so many people being very sick after getting it, and also the fallout about the COVID-19 jab and whether it did or did not do a lot of damage to some people's health and even be one of the causes of some of the many sudden deaths that we hear about. It's up to each individual. Like people, I don't know myself, people suddenly die all the time of all ages. And often we sort of want a reason as to why. Sometimes it just happens, very sadly. Maybe it is to do with some vaccines. I really don't know. I'm not a professional in this regard. There's always a low uptake of the flu vaccine amongst medical staff. I think sometimes it can be down around 35-40%, which is a frustration for the HSC. I don't know why they choose not to take it. And then others I know who got the flu jab and they got the sniffles when everyone else was half dead, and they were older people that didn't end up in hospital. But now there's so much information out there. You get people who make money from encouraging people to take vaccines, but you also get people who are incredibly wealthy now by discouraging people from taking vaccines. And that's the world we live in now. and often there's a monetary advantage whether you're for them or against them. You know, there are people on X and Bumble or whatever it's called, and YouTube, who are running very successful businesses being anti everything. So you always have to. I always want to sort of find out what someone's motivation is for giving one. But anyway, it's not for me to decide one way or other for you. That's up to you. Okay, we are going to be returning to the issue by coincidence of defective concrete blocks. It is our Monday focus because we're going to focus on the mental health aspect of it and talking to children about these issues and what have you. So stay right where you are. That's coming up after this break.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny, specialising in women's health from cervical checks to specialist care. Start the year with confidence. Book now at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Letterkenny should attend the clinic in the Radisson Blu Hotel in Letterkenny from Monday 13th to Thursday 16th of January. Making an appointment is recommended. Regular donors can now visit our website or call 1-800-731-137 to book a time. New donors are vital. Visit GiveBlood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details because we count on you.
Discover Centra Simple Savers, your go-to for great everyday value. Like Centra Fresh Irish Diced Beef 410 gram, only €3. Fitzgerald's Kids 6 wraps, €1 each. And Brady Family Irish Ham 80 gram selected range, €2 each. Enjoy easy, simple prices weekly on your favourite products. Centra. Live every day.
It's the Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware half-price sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles, wood flooring, bathware, cladding, everything's reduced. Tiles from only $4.99 per square yard and wood flooring from only $9.99 per square yard. Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware half-price sale now on.
Are you thinking of a new car in January? At iMotors, we have certain Kia models available for immediate delivery. Diesel, petrol, hybrid are all still available. Come check out imotors.ie.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Shekelatha ama Highland Radio. Arna Dortugat ag Airgrid. Uproar agus forbor an go letrahas na Héireann. Airgrid. Pobl a guachtu, era a guachtu. Teshe.
It is just about to turn 20 minutes past 11. You're very welcome back. So as I mentioned, we have our Monday focus now. And our guests are Olive Morrissey, who's a child counsellor. Good morning, Olive.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Good. Great to have you with us. And we are also joined on the programme by Michelle Coyle, who's a defective concrete block facilitator. Good morning, Michelle. Thanks so much for your time.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for having us today.
No, it's good to have you on the show. We try as adults, don't we, as best as we can to try and insulate our younger children from the worst in life. Whether that's a good move or not, that's what we choose to do. But if you are living in a defective concrete block home, it's ever present, isn't it? And much, if not all, of your conversation in life finds itself going through this sort of prism, this filter of defective concrete. And that's a challenge for parents, Michelle.
Oh, absolutely. We're finding a growing number of parents that do come in with them types of concerns that they are noticing changes in their children's behavior through all these different stages of the defective concrete block scenario. Unfortunately, I mean that even says even for volumes for this affects everybody of all different ages. Unfortunately, even the elderly, But this chat is centered around young people to try and help as much as we can to try and filter through them problems if we can.
Yeah, for sure. Because speaking a couple of years ago to a principal at a school in Inishowen, they were talking about how when there was creative writing or what have you, that young people, a lot of their essays or whatever it might be, was about defective concrete or framed by defective concrete or impacted by it or affected by it. And we know some schools, even in the Milford district, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 students are living in homes that are directly affected by this. So it's very, very tough. Olive, it is a challenge, isn't it, how we talk to our young people about these things? But it's not insurmountable either.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and I suppose it's like having any tough conversation with our children. They're difficult conversations, and I suppose defective concrete, living in a home with defective concrete is a massive, difficult conversation to have. And
sometimes as a parent, as you say, we try and protect our children, and therefore we tend to avoid it. And we're not necessarily having the conversations, which isn't very helpful.
Right, so there is an event coming up, by the way. It's an online webinar that would have a deep dive into this, of course, and this is by way of promoting that. But I mean, are there some starters, I suppose, Olive, as to how, and you know, for other people listening, it could be a bereavement, right? Or it could be some other major thing, or maybe dad got a bad diagnosis or something along those lines. I imagine it's the same tools and techniques we're using for all of these types of examples.
Yeah, and there's similarities, and I suppose it's the part for the parent to believe that they have the tool set and they have the experiences of dealing with difficult situations in the past, and not underestimate that. I suppose a lot of it is around the planning, planning, when am I going to have the conversation? When is a good time to have the conversation? I think as an adult, it's really important to put those planning strategies in place. I would call it the 3 C's, and that would be to be confident in having the conversation, be clear, be very clear what the conversation is about and the reason you're having the conversation with your child, and be in control. And that's very much about, watching your own self-regulation and how well you're regulated prior to having that conversation with your children.
And I would say for some parents and guardians, their concern is, how much do I tell? How honest do you be? How frank do you be? What do you hold back? Why don't you hold back? What kind of hope do you offer? Do you give false hope? Do you give realistic hope? If there's no hope, so what do you, how far deep into the conversation is it do you go, and is age appropriate?
Absolutely, it's very much, and that's what we'll be looking at on the webinar, is that age and stage of development. And I work a lot with primary school children and the younger child, and we have to be so careful that when we don't give the information, they're very much into the magical thinking, and they'll fill in the blanks. They'll create their own story, and often that story is much more fearful than what's happening in reality. So there's very much that age and stage of development, and given the bite-sized information as we go along, because as you were talking earlier, Greg, there's so many pieces to this process. It's a very long it's a big, long journey. So that gives us opportunities, because we don't have to give all the information at the one time.
Yeah, that's true too. And Michelle, what we also know, and again, this is going to be age dependent, what we also know, though, is children are talking about this amongst themselves anyway, aren't they? This is our situation, or this is what we have to do, or this is how it's affecting mum or dad.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, there's so much talk that children are talking about at school with each other. Unfortunately, there's children that are affected at home who go to youth clubs that are affected, so they're being exposed to it there. Their GAA halls, all that. There's no escaping this for children either. That everywhere they go, they can see it within their own community. So of course, children are talking about it. And there is kids at schools that are at different stages of this, where kids have had to move out of their homes and move into mobile homes, or moved into other different homes, and then there's kids that haven't even started yet on this journey yet. So there is that anxiety and stress and fear factor of hearing things through the grapevine too, of going to school and all the rest. Through IDP, we've had and through the IFN DCB subgroup, we've been able to get into the schools with even play therapists that have run programs through the local schools as well. And we've got great results coming back from even parents have come back to say that it was a great service that was provided in schools to be able to help children discuss stresses and worries outside of the home, where they're not just talking to the parents, that they're able to talk to somebody outside of that, and be able to talk within a group as well, a group setting, that other children are affected by it as well, just not them. Because I think especially young children sometimes can feel like they're the only child in the school or the class that's going through this, because it can be just me, myself, and alone. So I think having them types of supports in school as well, that bring groups of children together where they can discuss what they're worrying about and things that they want to, that they're fearful in the future for, makes them feel like they're not the only one that's going through that.
Yeah, Olive, we can be very fearful nowadays because we question the resilience of our young people quite regularly. It's not how we tell them it necessarily. I think some concern is how they deal with it. Could it push them over the edge? Could it make their anxiety worse, or could it trigger anxiety? Could it make them depressed first, or you know what I mean? As parents nowadays, we're crapping ourselves. I'm not sure if I can say that right. That we don't burden our children, that we could be responsible for something, because we're also often, a lot of parents are from a generation where maybe we were less resilient than that went before us, or we are bringing our own anxieties and stresses into these problems. So it's like almost someone trying to protect themselves and protect their child all at the same time. So how do we overcome that minefield?
Well, I suppose it's gone back to the parent, really, Greg. And as you say, it's often when I'm working, maybe I meet the parent before I ever see the child, and it's the part that they have their own anxiety around it, and it's often they have their own story about how their child is, and then you meet the child, and it's completely different than what maybe the mom or dad is thinking. So it's that belief that our children are highly resilient. You know, I do a lot of work around regulating and emotional regulation, and I remind parents that our children are regulating from the moment they're born. I have a background in midwifery, so I kind of pull on those strengths and remind them that these children are surviving from the moment they're born, and they're highly resilient. So it's believing that our children are coping, and our children are coping very well. There's just a small cohort, and we know that from COVID, there's a small cohort of children that became extremely anxious, and possibly there's some level of anxiety prior to COVID. So it's believing that it's just a small cohort of children that this is impacting quite severely on, and the other children are managing, and they're managing fairly well. So I suppose it's for the parent to have that belief that I believe our children are extremely resilient. They find such creative ways of managing their worries, and I try and encourage that.
And they're great. They actually are very supportive of each other as well.
Yes, of course, there's that peer support, but they're I think of the child that loves slime, or they love pets, and mommy doesn't allow the dog or the cat, and there's no slime allowed in our home. I mean, this is how children regulate. They find a way to regulate. So we have to do a lot of education with parents that sometimes we have to allow that messy play time or the slime time, because that's how the child is managing that worry.
Yeah, and Michelle too, it's an important part of this, and I'll go back to Olive maybe to get a sense of how the webinar will unfold. But it's like whether you're offering emotional care or physical care, you have to look after yourself. You have to look after your own physical health. You have to look after your own mental health, because how could you then offer the best care to somebody else? So there's a strong element in this webinar as well about self-care. How are you? How capable of how are you dealing with something before you try and support somebody else in dealing with something, Michelle?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we have the level of the high level of demand for our own service as GCB facilitators. We see thousands of people a year that come through our door to look for our services, and a lot of the times the mommies and daddies are just burnt out. They're worn down. They've just had enough, and they don't know which way to go. And you do have to address with them. What are you doing for yourself as a self-care? You need to be, you can't run on empty and support everybody else either, and a lot of that is, I do see a lot of mommies, like I say, coming in, and God love them, unfortunately through this whole process, it is a lot of the mums that have to, and the wives, and that have to carry the whole family, carry emotionally the whole family.
But also
they
might be more inclined to be stuck in that bloody house all of the time, looking at every crack, whilst others might have a bit of respite and get their head away for 7 or 8 hours a day.
This is it. It gives them a wee chance then to discuss, what their concerns are as well, with other mommies and with other professionals, to be able to see, what way can they go forward to, even for their own self-care as well, to regulate themselves too, because it's a very frustrating and a very stressful situation for anybody.
All right, to give everyone a chance to sort of maybe allocate the time, they have over a week to prep for this. The online webinar's on Tuesday the 21st of January, and it runs from 6:45 to 8 p.m, and hopefully that will catch the majority of people, won't it, with the working days and all that type of stuff. And what's the format, Olive? How are you going to sort of engage in this webinar?
I suppose the format, Greg, is that I'll be presenting a PowerPoint presentation, and I'll be looking at starting that difficult conversation. I'll be interested in seeing what are the needs, or what does a parent feel their needs are at the moment for their child, addressing those needs. I'll be looking a lot at modeling good coping coping well with stress as a parent, and that the child is going to see that mom is coping, mom and dad are possibly stressed, but they're coping with it. There'll be an opportunity then for questions and answers, because that's really important, to get a real feel of what people need. And I'll be doing a lot of signposting then to additional resources, in particular, maybe looking at the child, the teenager, young person that's anxious. And there's a lot of, good resources out there that we'll be able to share with the participants. And I think Michelle will be doing a little bit more about the onward referrals or onward signposting. So that's really it in a nutshell. Greg.
Lovely stuff. And Michelle, this is not a one and done, is it? Because we've got people through this process. We've got people stuck in it at the moment, and we're going to have many thousands of people coming through this, dealing with what people are doing now, right? So this is going to be an ongoing piece of work, isn't it? Because, the people who we're talking about now will know who we're talking about, will know we're talking to and about them, but then there's going to be there's people all the time at different stages of this journey that will require these types of supports.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, this isn't something that is going to be going away anytime soon. So, I mean, we are lucky the fact, especially in Shown, that we do have the IFAN DCB MICA subgroups set up, where they are local community groups and local services that are coming together to see what them needs are within the community for people that are affected by DCB, and what is it that we can do, services that we can offer that are needed within that community at that time. So, this is, like I say, an ever ongoing situation that we hope to, even in the future, to try and have services in place as we go along, because unfortunately, as we are going along with this, we're finding that there's new things popping up, things that we didn't expect to be affecting children and older people, and these are things that we have to evolve to as we go along, to try and get these services put in place as things progress.
All right, now I'm sure there's different people that you'll get. Some people, probably someone like me, who'd log on to the webinar and you couldn't shut me up, but there's loads of people that are different. You can just switch your camera off, presumably sit back and just take all the info in. But how do you get your slot on this webinar, which is taking place tomorrow week between 6:45 and 8 p.m, Michelle?
Well, we think that the easiest way for anybody now is to just contact the IDP directly, the Initial Development Partnership here in Buncrana, directly on a phone number of 074 93 62218. And they just leave their details, any contact details at all that they have, and we'll be able to reach out to them then to get them the link set up for the Zoom meeting then.
Brilliant. And Olive, finally, and this, I think this goes for adults and children alike, we have to talk about stuff. It often doesn't go away, and burying our heads in the sand will work maybe for some amount of time, but we do have to face up to a lot of this stuff, and it's best for everyone when we do.
Yeah, we do, because silence, we know in the past what silence has done. It's created massive amounts of shame and other uncomfortable feelings. So it's really important. And I think we have to respect where our parents are at as well. I have to be very careful as a professional not to put my beliefs on a parent, because they're not facing into it at the moment. I think when the time is right for them, they will. And I think we need to respect that as well.
For sure. Michelle Cole, thank you very much for joining us. Defective Concrete Block facilitator. Take care of yourself, Michelle. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Lovely to chat to you. And also Olive Morrissey, Child Counsellor. Take care of yourself. Thanks so much for your time. And
Thanks.
If you want more details on that, 074 936 2218. We'll retain that info here. That's how you can book your place on that webinar, taking place on Tuesday, the 21st of January, 6:45 p.m. to 8 p.m. Right. We're going to be joined by the author of Money Doctors 2025, John Lowe, regular guest on this programme, often around about this time. Maybe you've got some questions about your finances or what have you. Please get them into us now. But we'll be having, hopefully, an informative chit-chat with John, even if you just sit back and listen. So stay tuned for that, coming up in just a couple of moments.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Start the new year with peace of mind. Book your free cervical check today at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070.
Electric Ireland Superhomes can help you achieve a cosier, healthier and more energy efficient home, and one with less carbon emissions. They look after your home's retrofit from start to finish, including management of SEAI grants. Visit electricirelandsuperhomes.ie and start your journey to a superhome today. Grants offered are provided by the Government of Ireland through the SEAI.
New this week in Home Store and More. All floor lamps are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price floor lamps are gone, they're gone. Also, all home gym equipment and all artificial plants and flowers are still all half price. But when all the half price home gym equipment and all the half price artificial plants and flowers are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Calling all golfers. Kick off the new year in style at McGurk's Golf, 40 Retail Park, Letterkenny. Score incredible savings on clothing, golf clubs and accessories from top brands like TaylorMade, Under Armour, Adidas and Callaway. Swing by today and check out our latest New Year deals that will have you looking and playing your best. McGurk's Golf, best brands, best prices.
On today's broadband breaking news, slow broadband creates mortifying meetings.
It keeps freezing in meetings. It's so embarrassing.
Give humiliation the heave-ho with NBI's reliable high-speed fibre broadband network. It's available across the country right now, so don't delay. Check your air code at nbi.ie.
NBI is delivering the government's national broadband plan.
Oh, could you imagine dropping out of meetings? No, I couldn't. It's awful.
Now it is that time of the year where the latest Money Doctors book is out, the 2025 edition. John Lowe is author of the book. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning to you, Greg.
How are you getting on 2025? Going all right? Have you saved a few quid yet?
Well, I've just come back from a little break abroad, and I'm finding it difficult getting the jet lag out of my system.
A lot of us might even vote on issues of tax and what have you. And I know this latest edition includes 50 top tax tips. I do struggle even to understand my own tax affairs, tax credits or how much tax I'm paying at what level, what breaks I might be entitled to. It's complicated. It's very complicated. And what I tend to do when something's complicated is ignore it.
Yeah, well, that's what the majority of people do, Greg, as well. But in fairness, you can go back 4 years on, claims that you haven't made. For instance, say you had, dental or medical, and you never put them in for the last 4 years. Well, there's a couple of companies that will actually do it for you, and they'll charge you maybe 16% of the money that they retrieve. But you can do it yourself and get in touch with revenue and say, here's my list of expenses over the last 4 years for medical and dental. I had a nice surprise actually on that little trip abroad. I had a toothache, and the toothache turned out to be an infection. After one gentleman on Christmas Eve tried to drill a metal post in my tooth, and found it was a metal post. Anyway, that's going to cost me 4,000, believe it or not. That alone.
Wow,
yeah.
Unbelievable
Anyway,
stuff. And in terms of that, is it unvouched? I think it's good to have the receipts, but there are certain credits you can claim that you don't necessarily have to furnish the receipts in advance, or am I misleading people there?
You need to have proof that you've actually availed of whatever tax allowance is available. So you need to prove that certainly in terms of dental or medical. But that's just a question of getting your doctor, either dentist or your medical doctor, to send it's a Med 1 form, Med 2 forms, and they complete that, and then you send that off. Very simple. Also, you could have a job on the side, like you could be a rock and roll singer, and you might decide to set up a separate pension outside of the enormous pension that Highland Radio pay you. So you could avail of tax relief on that second pension. And some people have that situation, and they don't send in the certificate to claim the tax relief. But you can go back 4 years.
I need the first pension first, and that's something that could come up, I think, September, though. It's been pushed back so long, so often, who's to say? And this is auto-enrollment, the auto-enrollment pension.
Oh, my God, that is a nightmare, Greg. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm not a fan at all, because first of all, they still haven't finalized the figures, but they're talking about the employer having to set up a pension scheme for you, say, and he'll put in, or she'll put in 1.5%, you have to match it. After 2 years, you can drop out. But after 10 years, you're both now starting to commit 6% a year each. And the government chips in with 2%. That's a total of 14%, and they manage it. So you don't know really how it's doing. You've no say in that. But the 14%, if you are a graduate, you just come straight out of college, you get a job, and even if you're only on 20% tax rate, you can put 15% on your own bat into a pension. I had a young lady. She was 26 years of age, and I told her about the coming tsunami that is going to be in about 20 years when you're going to find that the government do not have the money to pay the now €289.30 a week to the pensioners who will be 3 times their numbers in 25 years and 1/3 of the workforce. That's the problem. So this girl, anyway, was visibly upset when I told her all this. And she wasn't visibly upset over the fact that there won't be money in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, 40 years' time when she's retired. She was visibly upset over the fact that she had missed out already on 2 years' pension contributions.
Yeah.
Which is most unusual.
This year, obviously, we have... Well, I mean, the cost of living's going up, housing's going up, but payments are going up. Welfare payments have increased. The minimum wage has increased. Yeah. Hopefully people above the minimum wage will see some sort of an increase. I suppose if that money is extra to you, what do you do with it? Or if things are tight, it's never too late, I suppose, to start trying to maximise your output from your input. And I do wonder how closely we scrutinise our finances and check our direct debits and check if there's an old insurance policy for a mobile phone from 1988 still coming out of our accounts. We do need to do a deep dive, don't we?
You know, the thing is that you talk about the minimum wage. It's gone up 80 cents, and that is, you know, essentially it's now $13.50, and that's from January the 1st. It went up. That's still pathetic, in fairness to a lot of those people who are being paid €13.50. The employers would argue against that. It's very tight out there. People, you know, even those mothers who gave birth on the 1st of December, they're going to receive on the 11th of February €280. It's a help, but it's a one-off payment. It's not an increase in the monthly child benefit of 140, Greg. Mothers who and they'll get that mother who had a baby after the 1st of December, they'll get the first of the child benefit on the 7th of January, which was 6 days ago. Those who were born in January, they get the child benefit on the 4th of February. So the newborn grant for both of these, as a little present from the government, is 280, will be payable on the 11th of February. But like you mentioned, you know, social welfare payments, state pensions, up €12. I don't know where the government is going with this because, as I said, you know, in years to come, they won't be able to afford any of this. You know, So someone's going to have to give. And this auto enrollment is a joke because they've been banding this about for the last 20, 25 years.
But it's auto enrollment, but you can opt out. Do you think a lot of people will opt out? Are you recommending they do?
No, I'm recommending that they should go and see a financial advisor, and they should let that financial advisor talk to the employer and set up a proper system whereby if you're in your 30s or you're in your 40s and you haven't got a pension, well, you can put 25% as a 40-year-old into your, obviously, but you have to do your budget first, Greg. Admittedly, there's not very many people who can afford to put 25% of their gross annual income into their pension scheme for their future. But if they can afford it, go ahead and do it because it is their best investment, bar none. Just think of this. If you're on a 40% tax rate and you're putting €100 into your pension, the government give you back €40 every month. And that means that you're up 40% before you even start. So you don't need to worry about, you know, crashes and recessions and market turbulence. You're up 40%. The average annual growth in the stock market from 1991 to 2020, 30 years, was 10.72%. So you put that 10.72 plus the 40, 50.72%. I do not know any investment that gives you that kind of return in a year.
And you know what, John, you've explained it very, very clearly, and I get it. But I think even in that description, it shows the complexity of it when you're trying to sort of pick up as you're listening. And that's why this book explains things like you just have in a very simple way. What does means tested mean? Who's entitled to a medical card? How you potentially can save money and maybe get closer to that 25% to invest in a pension or whatever it might be. And it's all in the new book. It's fully updated, Budget 2025, the 50 tax tips, and it's available broadly, John, I presume.
It's available in every shop of the East and CU, thank you. It's available in all the good bookstores, as they say, and also online. In fact, if you want to give away a couple of books, Greg, I'll send them up to the lovely Caroline.
Brilliant.
Signed, and you can give them as a spot prize.
Okay, listen, we'll love to do that. Thanks, John. Hopefully your tooth isn't playing you up too much. 4K. You're away for a nice little trip, and next thing you come back with a 4K bill. All right, John, listen, thanks very much indeed. Take care of yourself. Good luck to you and all the team. That's The Money Doctor, John Lowe, 2025. It's out there. It's the biggest and yellowest book in the bookshop, I would say.
The 9 till noon show with Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. Are you struggling with back pain? Greenview Medical Centre offers access to neurosurgeon services. Book now at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070.
Oh, let's play. Lidl's price is always right. It's the final round for our contestant Sarah. Which till will she choose? If it's Dunn's and her vouchers aren't in date, she'll pay the price. And if she doesn't spend enough to use those vouchers, she'll need to up the bill at the till. Or you could just go to Lidl. So, what will it be, Sarah?
It's straight to Lidl for me.
Correct! You really can shop without compromise at Lidl, because Lidl's price is always right.
T's and C's apply. For more information, visit lidl.ie/price is always right.
A new year, a new floor. At Floorit, we offer quality solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a vast choice of parquet herringbone flooring, all fitted and tailored to your needs. Call in today and see for yourself the fantastic offers available this January. Call Floorit today on 087 161 7008 or visit floorit.ie.
Are you female, currently unemployed and looking for a new career in construction? Rural Enterprise SkillNet is delighted to announce the next Women in Construction programme commencing February 17th in Letterkenny. For more information or to apply, visit ruralenterpriseskillnet.ie. Closing date for applications is February 4th with interviews on February 6th.
Hi folks, Paul McDevitt here, inviting you to join myself and Jimmy Stafford this Monday night for another edition of the Monday Night Sessions. On the show this week, and ahead of their first album launch, we welcome back the amazing Tessio. Ballyshannon-based trad rock group The Wild Rovers will also be dropping by for a chat and a few tunes. Plus, we'll be bringing you the very latest releases from the Northwest and the rest of the country. So, that's the Monday Night Sessions this Monday night between 7pm and 10pm. As always, right here on Highland Radio.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhinney's. It's time to save big with the McElhinney's winter sale. Enjoy up to 50% off fashion, homeware, accessories and more in store and online at mcelhinneys.com today.
Okay, so thankfully it is not as cold as it has been. Let's have a look at what the weather forecast has in store for us today. Cloudy and breezy with outbreaks of rain and drizzle. Highest temperatures 10 to 12 degrees in fresh to strong southwest winds. There'll be mist and fog over hills and on some windward coasts. John Joe Fitzgerald is Vice President of the Irish Nature and Hill Farmers Association, and he is with me now. Good morning to you, John Joe.
Morning, Ray. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for joining us. I think it's quite clever, really. You're using the ongoing government formation talks, and I think particularly perhaps with a rural element to it, with the group of rural independents, etc., that are likely to support the government to put the issue of dog control to the fore now. Because every single year, we're contacted by farmers who've lost dozens of sheep and asking, please control your dogs, and back and forward every single year. And we're not really making any progress, I think, in stopping it or in enforcing something, are we? So what's your position with the INHFA on this?
Well, I suppose our position at the moment, Greg, is with the new government now, hopefully to be set up shortly, we would like to see dog control come under one government department. At the moment, it's under three departments, the Department of Housing there, Department of Agriculture, and the Department of Rural Affairs and stuff like that with Heather Humphreys. Now, it's like a merry-go-round, I suppose, every year. We're trying to deal with the issue. Myself personally, for the last 4 or 5 years here in West Kerry, I've been on the dog campaign and I've gone nationally with it. But it's almost impossible trying to get any government department to sit down with you and take your points, to have a discussion over it.
Is the problem here as to who takes responsibility for it? Because who is actually going to enforce the control of dogs? Who's going to ensure there are penalties for irresponsible dog owners? The county council, I think we've got 1 or 2 dog wardens in this county, for an example. I believe they operate for the most part in office hours, and I don't mean that in any way negative towards them. But that's not going to sort out the issues we're talking about now.
No, it's not, Greg. I suppose in the end of the day, we need to take or have dog owners take responsibility of their dogs, and it needs to be enforced. Now, if for this to happen properly, we need to criminalise, people that are leaving their dogs off the leash to maraud around places without any control whatsoever. Now, over the Christmas period there, from 8th of December right up until this week, I've dealt with 3 or 4 or 5 farmers, that have their sheep attacked and torn apart by dogs, marauding dogs, and nobody wants to take do anything about it. There's one instance there, it happened down in Kinmare in South Kerry. Sheep attacked there. The farmer came along while the sheep were attacked. He could see it happening. The dog owners, I think, appeared there. They got their dogs, threw them in the back of the car and drove off. No responsibility taken. But on the following Sunday, this farmer went down to the beach where the dogs came out of, and he sat there just to see what's going on. While he was there was 4 dog owners that turned up, left their dogs out of the boot of the car, and way off they went down the strand. And what did the dog owners do? Went back into their cars, sat inside playing with their phones. Didn't even notice what their dogs were doing. Now, that's wrong.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that reminds me of going back, it could be 30 years, cartoons of dogs that were very peaceful and quiet in the home and turned into wolves effectively when they left. But the penny doesn't drop with the irresponsible dog owners, which are in the minority, that their animals are even capable of this.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, Greg, is I suppose the owners of these dogs doesn't realise, from a small dog that's as small as a cat up to big animals, they don't realise the damage even a small dog can do. Worrying sheep, sheep can abort if they're given any bit of a chase at all by any sort of a dog, can abort their lambs. And it's not right. And look, I suppose at the end of the day, Greg, we need stronger enforcement, new legislation. We need to have the licenses linked up to microchipping. But as well as that, Greg, we need to have DNA samples taken of every dog in this country. And when we have sheep or animals attacked, then we can go back to that database, test the saliva and the tears and cuts. Just to give you an example of 2023, we had about 730 animals, harmed in this country by dogs chased. Now, I suppose to give you more figures in it, we had 450 sheep attacked, 230 cattle, and about 38 poultry. Now, that's wrong in this day and age. The financial loss is bad enough, but the mental stress this is putting on farmers up and down the country is unreal.
See, the thing is, John Joe, farmers listening will know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
They will know that you're preaching to the converted. They know exactly the blood, sweat and tears that goes into looking after these animals. For many, is there even that much money in it when they're operating on a small scale up here? You know what I mean? And this can be just the difference between bread on the table and not. We just hope that this message drops with those who maybe don't think their dogs are capable. And who's to say, it could be very possible that a Healy Ray might have a junior ministry or what have you down in your neck of the woods, and maybe they can advance this because what's happening at the moment is not working.
It's not working. It's not working, Greg. And at the end of the day, look, a new government, and we need to have one minister that will take responsibility for dog control. And on top of that, we need to educate the dog owners on what damage their dogs can do to farm animals.
And I think responsible dog owners have an awful lot of skin in this game as well, because they should be backing this, because their life is becoming increasingly difficult on beaches, walking in parks, in more rural areas, because of irresponsible people giving the majority who are responsible a bad name. So I think there's lots of people with an interest in this being progressed. But for now, thank you very much for your time. John Joe Fitzgerald, and he is the Vice President of the Irish Natural and Hill Farmers Association. Okie doke. Thank you for listening. Thank you for texting and calling in. Any of the messages we didn't get to today, we shall carry on over until tomorrow, because there's some really interesting ones there I was able to glance at. Don't forget, if you're listening to the podcast or you're listening to the overnight replay, WhatsApp or comment, email to us, and we shall carry them over to the next live show. But for me, Greg Hughes, Carol O'Neill, who researched and produced the show, and Katie, who helped out as well, have a fantastic Monday. Stay safe,